All right, and welcome back to Kino Discussion Episode 5. We both got better setups now. We've done some rearranging. So,
Yeah,
hopefully...
with our studio funds, we got a whole new setup.
Yep. With all the millions of dollars we've gotten from our YouTube views, we can finally upgrade them. We can upgrade our microphones. So
I can have a better mic.
Yep. But this episode, we're going to be talking about Sunshine, Morbius, Madam Web, and Kraven the Hunter, in that order, with spoilers. And this is probably going to be a bit of a longer episode because we got a bunch of movies to talk about. And these movies bring a lot out of people. Lots of emotions.
They're pretty deep.
So we'll just kick it right off, and I'll kick it right to you with Sunshine, your recommendation from last episode.
Okay. So, all right. Sunshine, it starts and it just really explains the whole setup of the movie, and that is that the Earth is doomed to a eternal winter, and everyone is dying, and the sun is basically it's not working no more. And so, dude, this is a horrible explanation. Holy crap! But he basically, as a Hail Mary attempt, the humans get all of their resources to make a bomb that they could send into the sun, and basically kickstart it again and get the Earth, not frozen over.
Yeah.
And so it follows a second group of people because they are like the second ship that was sent out there. What were they? The Icarus?
It was the Icarus.
It was Icarus
2.
1 and 2?
Yeah.
And so they were they're Icarus 2, and they've been sent out there to just drop a bomb on the sun. And everything goes wrong.
Yeah, complications arise. And it's a very stressful, intense movie. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. I loved it. This has been on my watch list for years. I've been wanting to watch this movie forever, and I just now finally got around to watching it because of your recommendation, and I'm really upset I didn't watch it sooner, because I was really engrossed by this.
The cast is, very good for the movie. I loved, everyone's characters.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Oppenheimer guy was in it.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy's in it. Chris Evans is in it. Michelle Yeoh is in it.
I can't believe Chris Evans went from this to Red 1.
Yeah, How the Mighty Have Fallen, right?
Crazy.
But I guess we'll just start by talking about things we like a lot. I like the look of the movie. It's very claustrophobic. A lot of the scenes are shot with almost like a shaky cam, but you can still kind of make out what's happening. It doesn't seem like shaky cam just for the purpose of hiding obvious budgetary constraints or making it to where we can have body double actors instead of the real person there. It all seems really artistic and well done, I think.
It's super techie. I know that sounds weird, but it's just it looks really cool.
Yeah.
The set design, I guess that's what you could call it.
Yes.
It's just
I really love the set design.
The spaceship that they're on is super cool.
Yeah, it's got this gold plating around the front of it, and that acts as a shield from the sun.
Yeah. And if it's turned a certain way, it'll reflect and just mess everything up.
That's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Is there's a part where, I can't remember the character's name, but he is given the task of, I guess we'll kind of do a little plot recap. Icarus 2 is sent out to go launch this giant bomb that they got. And they're going to launch it at the sun to restart it. And so it's 8 of the smartest people in the world as humanity's last-ditch effort on this thing.
Yeah.
And whenever they get
all just
there,
super cool astronauts.
Yeah. And as they arrive to their destination, they realize that the Icarus 1 is still there, and then it kind of becomes this moral dilemma.
they pick up the distress signal from them.
Yeah. And it becomes this moral dilemma of like, well, do we go and save the people of Icarus 1, or do we go and save, try and save everyone on Earth by launching this bomb? And obviously, most of the viewers are like, well, it has to be, you have to save the Earth over the possibility that like maybe these 3 people from the first mission could be alive, And then they hit you with the, well, it's like a 50% shot if our bomb will work anyway. So you're like,
Yeah.
I'd rather take 2 coin flips over 1 coin flip.
Yeah, because Chris Evans' character, he's the musclehead, but he's also super locked in.
He's
the movie,
awesome.
I can't lie.
He's probably my favorite character.
He just the whole crew. I like everyone's dynamic, and like was something I was like trying to pick up through the whole movie was like everyone's roles, and like when that happens, when they get the distress signal, I think it was like they were having like a big conversation about like what they should do, and the psychologist guy was like, listen, we are not a democracy, we are like highly specialized like people, and they were like, the only person who could make this decision is our physicist, which is the Oppenheimer guy. And that's when he comes to the conclusion that they need to get another bomb to help their chances.
Yeah, and then this kind of leads into I think probably one of our favorite scenes in the movie. They leave one of the navigators in charge of plotting a course and making sure all the calculations are correct, and he does something wrong with the shields. That means that part of the shield's messed up, so they're going to have to do a spacewalk in front of the sun to go and fix these like 4 plates.
AI.
Yeah.
They have like an AI, and it's also named Icarus.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the brains of their ship, so they had to they turned it off, and that's like when human error came in and like effed everything up.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But
I ain't got nothing to say.
is it Cillian Murphy's character and the captain go out and do that spacewalk?
The captain, yeah. Well, at the beginning, I was expecting an Among Us situation where the crewmate we're gonna turn on each other and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the movie like it defies your expectations, because there's scenes where like characters will group up and talk to each other like, hey, we're gonna have to get rid of people, or like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because after the very first attack, or not attack, but like the big screw up at the beginning, it messed up their oxygen reserves, which was like just a big plant room that helped, give them oxygen. And that was probably like the worst possible thing that could happen.
Yes.
But
that's when I guess we should tell everyone we watched this actually together. This is the first like movie for the podcast that we didn't see in theaters that we watched together. Because we were going to watch Madam Web through Netflix, but then Netflix was like, hey, buddy, do you want to pay more for Madam Web? And I said no. So we went found a copy, but that copy was not working. So we just watched Sunshine instead. And we watched it with a group of people. How many people were in our voice channel? Like probably like 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah.
And I think,
including us, I think.
Yeah. During that spacewalk is whenever people kind of started funneling in. And like whenever that oxygen broke, I just remember everyone was just like, okay, whatever we were talking about before doesn't matter. Like everyone just immediately zoned in on the movie, and we didn't like say another word. Like like once you entered the call and you saw what was going on and you watched like a minute of the movie, you sat down and you stayed until it was over. Like nobody left.
This is sidetracking a bit, but I'm looking at the wiki, and the movie had a budget of a budget. Whoa, what is wrong? It had a budget of $40 million, and it grossed $34.8 million worldwide.
I saw that. I saw that it didn't make money, and I was very sad.
That is depressing.
It's kind of shocking that the movie cost $40 million to make with how good it looks. Like, because the whole movie takes place. It
does look really good.
The whole movie takes place in front of this giant CGI sun. Like, and it looks good. Like that's a
Yeah.
good effect. And there's a lot of moments where
It
it's
was in
like
2007, and it still like holds up.
there's a great dream sequence where like Oppenheimer guy is having a nightmare that he's like on the surface of the sun like burning, and that scene looks great. And like all the
Yeah.
spacewalk stuff and all the ships and everything, like the way that they could get this to work for 40 million is just insane.
Yeah.
And
the editing in the movie
oh
is
yeah,
like very, very good. That's something I'll definitely give props to.
yeah, I really like the editing. I really really like the soundtrack a lot too. Big fan.
Yes. It kind of like switches up near the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like it becomes a lot more drastic, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's really good.
And I saw something today that I thought would be interesting because I was just re-listening to the soundtrack, just because I was really enjoying it, and I was like, I remember writing down in my notes that I really really like this soundtrack. I'm gonna listen to a few tracks from it, and apparently, the guy that made the soundtrack for this is making the soundtrack for the new Superman movie, like the James Gunn one.
Oh.
So I'll be very interested
Ah.
to see what that'll be like.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That would be cool.
I really like the soundtrack. I like the acting. And I guess before we get too into the plot, I want to say that this movie is kind of... I didn't know if you knew this before going in, but it's kind of notorious for its big twist in the third act. And that's why I always wanted to watch it, because I love space movies, I like the writer, I like the director, and I'd heard that that third act is nuts. And it's nothing like the other two parts of the movie. So I just kept... I somehow avoided it. And... Let me say, if you haven't seen the movie yet, go watch it. I think we both recommend
Yeah.
it. And before we get into big spoilers,
It's really cool.
because it's something you just I think no one should have spoiled for them. I think it's great.
It's yeah.
But I guess moving on to that, now we're in spoiler territory for Sunshine. So the Icarus, their oxygen reserve gets blowed up. And they're like, okay, so now we have to go to the Icarus 1. Like, for sure, just to see oxygen reserves and stuff like that. And we get another bomb. It's a win-win. Because at this point, if they try and go back, everybody on the Earth gonna die, and no bomb's gonna be dropped, or they're just gonna die in space on the way back because they don't have enough oxygen to get there. Like, they don't... They're running out of oxygen quick. So... They go and they dock on the Icarus 1. And I think my favorite use of editing in the movie is like these almost
Oh yeah, I was about to bring that
jump
up.
scare.
I was terrified, dude. Like genuinely.
It's an image of the previous crew of the Icarus 1. And it's all of their
And there's,
faces
like-
kind of cut out and cropped, and then it'll just occasionally flash like one or two frames of their faces while they're exploring this like completely dead ship with like all this dust on it. And it's pitch black, like none of the lights work, and it's just really interesting. I really like
Oh
that.
yeah, I was terrified because I remember we were watching. We were like, "Is that a person?"
Yeah.
Like, no way. What is going on? We were just like tweaking.
Yeah,
Because it's so I don't know.
it's really great because the movie starts off in like this hard sci-fi kind of way where it's like, okay, you're worried about your oxygen and you're worried about this and you're worried about like the shields and everything, and then that happens in the movie and you're like, I hadn't even thought about another threat yet. Like you're so wrapped up in all of these like things going wrong internally that you're like, what happened with the Icarus 1? Like that never crossed my mind. Because I was so caught up in, oh, the shields are busted. Oh, we got to fix this. We got to fix that.
Yeah.
What's happening? Everything's blowing up. Everything's going wrong. How are we going to do it? What's going to happen? And then they get to the ship, and it's revealed that the captain of the Icarus 1 was like, he essentially became like a crazy kind of cultist. And he believes that like this is God's kind of reckoning for humanity, and that they don't deserve to go on anymore, and that this is how it's all supposed to end.
Yeah.
And that God
And-
told him that he should stop anyone that comes.
And didn't he like how their ship works is that the bomb at the front has like a bunch of, mirrors or whatever it is to deflect the sun
Yeah.
and all that. and the captain just like turned the shield off, and all of his crew just straight up got enveloped by the sun.
Yeah, that's how they find it, is like the shield that protects them from the sun is just gone on the Icarus One. And so it's just like these corpses of these people that have been burned to a crisp for like who knows how long they've been there. They're just like ash. And as they find this body, or all these bodies together, there's an explosion. And the three crew that went over, I think it's Oppenheimer, Chris Evans, and then like the new captain, because the previous captain died during the spacewalk to fix the shields.
When they had, yeah.
And so it's those three.
He took it like a champ too.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite song in the movie. I think it's Arpeggio in D minor or D major or something like that. But it's really good. I think in the way that they use it in that captain's death scene's great. But there's this like explosion. And you don't really know what's going on. I kind of theorized while the movie was going on. I'm like, maybe they like touched something in that room and it like blew up for some reason. Like, I don't know. But anyway, they're stranded now. These three people are stranded and they got to figure out a way back. And
I think it was like the Icarus One that they were on only had one suit. And the suits I thought were super cool, because when you consider like an astronaut suit like being super close to the sun, they just have like a really good design for it. They look like tank people, and they're completely golden. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I really like the design a lot. Because like aren't astronaut suits like notoriously like very, very warm? Like,
yeah.
So I'm like, wow, what an interesting way to do that. It's like instead of like having like all this like coolant and stuff, it's like reflecting the light. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And then the captain, I think he was literally the only person to do this, but in those like those astronaut suits, they have like little gerbil water feeders for them.
Oh,
which
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
I mean, again, going back to the set design, it looks great. This movie looks great. Mm-hmm. And it all feels like real. Like it's set in like the far future or whatever, but like it feels like something that could plausibly happen.
2057.
Yeah.
But they like, when the ship blows up, I think they only had one, and they had to basically wrap themselves in the
This is when Chris Evans locked in. Like Chris Evans, I was kind of like, okay, he's kind of cool. And then that happened, and I was like, okay, he's in.
It was like the
insulation.
What's it called? Insulation of the walls. Yeah, they wrapped themselves in a bunch of insulation, and then they basically
rocket jumped onto the other side.
Yeah, they just. Oh yeah, they had the door. They popped it open so that they would get sucked out, and then they just basically like just tried to make it.
Yeah.
And I think Chris Evans and Oppenheimer made it, and the fake captain guy didn't.
Yeah,
and he was a loser, so I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah, the new captain. If this movie would have been completely different had that new captain guy not been in.
Oh yeah.
Like if his death is brutal. His death.
Oh yeah.
He gets frozen, completely frozen, and then he like. Because he's out in space with nothing.
Into a side of it.
He like 1 inch of his body just goes onto the sun, and his entire body just blows up. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. What a way to go out.
It happens.
And there was another guy. There was the guy. Remember the guy that had to stay there manually to open the door? He sacrificed himself in that scene. In Icarus 1?
Yes.
Yeah. The guy that was like...
Yes, he was the...
he's the guy that
he was
like...
the psychologist guy.
Yeah, he stares at the sun at the beginning of the movie. At like 2% brightness. Which that's, I mean, backtracking a little bit. I think that's a really great way to like set... Like just how dangerous they are. Like in a dangerous area they are. Where it's like... Hey, here's 2% of the sun's raw power. It's burned this guy's face. So like imagine what it's like out there. You know?
Yeah.
So it really sets the stakes. I forgot what the
psychologist said at the beginning of the movie, but he tries to like, I guess like reinvigorate everybody, because everyone's like super depressed on this trip. Like they don't have their family.
Yeah.
You know, they're pretty much all of them know that they're gonna die, and I think it was something he says when you're like enveloped by darkness, it's like there's nothing in you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're consumed by the light, it's like it becomes you. It was something like that, and I thought that was super interesting because it makes like a lot of the latter half of the film make it, you know, even though it's like super grim and depressing, it makes it like, you know, just a little bit more bearable in a way.
Yeah. I guess we'll move to the big twist now, which I did not at all see coming, is that the previous captain, so everybody kind of makes it over and they're kind of chilling for a bit and they're like, okay, so they're working all these calculations and you're back involved in the nitty gritty of like,
I remember.
Okay, how are they going to do this? Repair this? Maybe we can do this. You know,
and
who are we
right
gonna?
When they got back, one of the members, the member that committed the first major doo-doo of the whole thing, that, you know, messed up their oxygen. Basically, after he did that, he was super depressed and he literally couldn't do anything. And so when they got back to the to the Icarus II, he killed himself. And so with their oxygen reserves, they could only make it 3 hours out to the sun.
Yeah.
And so the Oppenheimer guy, I keep calling him Oppenheimer.
I don't remember his character's name.
I think his name was Kappa.
Kappa?
I think it was Kappa.
Okay, I think that sounds right.
And so Kappa, he was talking to the Icarus AI, because I remember this because this had me freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, he was talking about oxygen reserves. He was like, "Are we gonna make it?" And so the Icarus tells him like, "Yo, you're not gonna make it." He's like, "What? I thought with four people we could make it." And they were like, "No, there's 5 people here." And they were like, "Icarus, I think you're wrong here, buddy. Our pal just killed himself. There's 4 of us." And then they were like, "Nope, there's 5." And that was like the moment he even locks in. He's like, where are they?" And what was it? I don't know what the room was called, but it was like their simulation chamber.
Okay.
And I think that's probably the only. Oh, what part? What part did I get to?
No, you're good. I guess we'll just leave this in. I'll just let the viewers know. Blaine has some rough internet, so I didn't hear anything of what
horrible.
he said. Just how far did you get to? Because I heard you talking about.
Tell me where I was.
You were talking about Cillian Murphy, Kappa, and he was talking to the Atlas AI or the Icarus AI.
Oh, okay, the Icarus AI.
Yeah.
He basically after he was discussing the oxygen levels, and basically Icarus said that they weren't gonna make it, and he was like, "What? There's 4 of us. We should." And they're like, "Nope, 5." And he's like, "Well, I think you got a problem here, Icarus. Our pal just committed suicide. There is not 5 of us." And Icarus is like, "No, there's 5." And that's like a, oh shit.
No. What really got me is I was like, okay, maybe the guy that committed suicide, maybe he's somehow alive or on like barely alive or something. It's whenever it lists off the crew members' names and then it just says unidentified, and I was like, what?
And I think he asks where they are, and they say that he's in like the simulation chamber or whatever it's called. And I think this is probably the only like problem I had in the movie, is he just gets up and runs towards that area. And I mean, I get it, because like, you know, what would they do within that time? Like, you know, he could blow up the ship. He could, you know, do anything.
Yeah.
But like,
he doesn't radio everybody.
He probably doesn't know that he was the captain of the other ship, but being a captain on one of these ships, you have like
unrestricted
voice
access
command
to
and
everything.
control. But yeah, you basically have everything. And so, I mean, I guess I understand like why he ran there, but I don't know why he didn't rally his gang. That's probably the only thing I don't understand.
I could definitely see
him
that.
not rallying the gang.
That's probably the biggest plot hole.
Because if I heard it, if I was in his shoes and there was a random, I'd phone up gang so fast and we would jump and kill him instantly. But he doesn't do that. He goes to the simulation room and and he is being like enveloped by the sun when he goes in there.
Yeah.
So you only see his silhouette. And I think that's really cool. I think the like use of like really bright light silhouette kind of things in this movie is like really cool. I can't imagine what that would be like in the theater watching it, because like
Yeah.
I bet you would just see like literally everything, because like it's bright.
Yeah, the movie, yeah, we were talking about that, like, I guess to the viewers that just don't care and didn't watch the movie. It's like the atomic bomb scene in Oppenheimer times a million, and that happens like every scene.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you're just pretty much blinded the whole movie in the contrast between
Yeah.
the light and the dark scenes.
yeah. Whenever that sun is involved, like it's gonna try and blow up and kill you.
Yeah.
So
But now the movie kind of
But,
becomes like this
yeah.
like weird kind of like slasher thing, like in space, and I think that's really interesting. And the villain's
They
really
don't,
unique.
the editing is also a really good highlight there too, because they always like blur out his face.
Uh-huh.
And like
It's just
edit
his
it and
eye.
glitch it
Like, you
out
just see,
and,
like, his
every
eye a
single
little
scene.
bit.
Yeah.
And his burnt face.
Also, was he naked for the
Yup.
whole movie?
Yup. He's just naked.
Dude. And he was killing people with his dick out.
Yep.
Like, I can't imagine. I just couldn't imagine. Listen, I'm not getting killed by somebody with their dick out, okay? That's just me. But, anyways, you continue.
Yeah, but from there, I mean, really from there on, there's not really much to say. It kind of just becomes like a basic kind of slasher movie in space. But with like a really interesting villain. And there's like some great scenes. Like there's a scene where like the captain of Icarus 1 that is on board Icarus 2 now is like trying to sabotage everything. So he's like destroying the coolant cells and everything. So Chris Evans has to go and replace the coolant cells by hand. And that scene was really good. He has like a heroic sacrifice. There's that scene where like the girl co-pilot is getting chased by him, and there's the fake out where he thinks that the guy that killed himself is alive, and he tries to jump in there and kill him, and then she escapes. That's a really good fake out.
One of the saddest deaths was the botanist lady.
Oh yeah,
because she goes back to their like oxygen reserve room, and she sees like still a sprouting little plant, because like, you know, she's a goat botanist. Like that's basically like a bit of hope that they can go back, and you know, she gets stabbed by their little weird kitchen knife thing that they have, because you know,
the kitchen knife that vibrates. Yeah,
kitchen knives that vibrate.
Isn't she like the
And
first
R.I.P.
death? Isn't she the first death at the hands of the captain of Icarus 1?
Yeah, she is.
Because basically the rest of the movie, the last 20 minutes is basically just a chase scene, and eventually they like make it to the bomb, and there's like a lot of close calls and everything, and it's all really well done. But they make it to the bomb, and then pretty much everyone except Cillian Murphy's dead, and then Cillian Murphy sets off the bomb, and the sun becomes bright again, and then everybody gets saved. And so everybody on Earth is, you know, the sun's back to normal for them. They're chill, and everyone in space dies. That's the movie. And honestly, I was expecting the movie to have a lot darker of a finale, because I'd always been told that like this is like a very like downer movie. So I was actually half expecting for the bomb to just not work. Like I thought that would have been very interesting if they went through all this and then it just nothing happened.
Yeah.
Like the 40%, they lost the tail flip. Like narratively, I don't think
that would have been horrible.
Narratively, I don't think that would be very interesting, and it only really works when like some stories do it. But I do wish more stories kind of did that with their like last minute, we can save everybody with this thing, but it's a 1 in a million shot, and it's like the 1 in a million shot isn't always going to work. But I think it's a good movie. I like it a lot. Are we ready to move into ratings already?
Yeah, we can go ahead.
Okay. I'll start. I think I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10, and it'll probably increase to a 9 out of 10 on rewatch. It's one I want to go back to very quickly. Probably sometime this week I'll rewatch it. So.
Well, Jackson, I was going to say literally the exact same thing, so I'm going to give it an 8 as well. I thought the performances were like really, really good for it. The music was a standout, and I loved the editing of it.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was unlike a lot of sci-fi movies I've seen. final synopsis is it was pretty messed up, man.
Yeah.
If only they didn't go to that Icarus one.
Yeah.
It would have been all okay.
Yeah. So, it's all Oppenheimer's fault, but he kind of saves the day at the end. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready to talk about the real movies now that we got the crap out of the way?
Yeah.
All right. Morbius.
Time to move on to some peak.
Morbius.
Morbius.
When did this come out? 2019?
Okay. 2019?
Did
that
it come out in 2019?
Like, seemed that long ago.
2022. Never mind. You could have told me this movie came out in 2003 and I'd have believed you. So, I actually have notes for this. Let me get those pulled up real quick while I intro it.
Okay.
So, Morbius...
Sorry, my internet is being insanely dodgy right now. Just letting you know.
So, Morbius is the story of Dr. Michael Morbius, and he's a kid at the beginning, and then and people make fun of him.
He has the friend Milo.
Hold on.
What disease do they have?
Blood. Something's wrong with their DNA. There's a piece of their DNA missing. Remember?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because like they give Morbius like an insanely like sad backstory within the first like 15 minutes of the film. It's like, what is he? He's an orphan?
Yeah, he's an orphan. He's got a blood disease. He's at the hospital.
He meets his BFF that also has a blood disease.
And then he has to go because he learns how to, what did he do? He took a calculator and he made it work with one battery instead of two. And then this random guy's like, "You're a genius. You're going to MIT."
No, his, Milo, his friend, was like dying.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He, like, was dying on the hospital bed and he was like, "Nurse? Is there a nurse?" And, you know, obviously all the nurses are doing their TikTok dances in the background, like real nurses.
Yeah.
So nobody came to help, and that's when Michael Morbius locked in. He, like, saved his pump or whatever and brought him back to life or some shit. And then after that, he just became a goated dog.
And then now, 25 years time. Well, I guess first, before we mention that. Well, I guess I'll just go ahead and do the plot synopsis before we go into the interesting things about the movie. So 25 years pass. Okay. Dr. Michael Morbius is now a Nobel Prize winner or whatever, and he made synthetic blood. He's making synthetic blood out of his discovery out of vampire bats that he found in the Amazon. That'll come up later.
Yeah,
and he puts it into himself, and he becomes Morbius, and then he morbs all over the place, and he fights bad guys, and whatever. Movie sucks.
What I thought was funny. I was
about to say, let's just structure it like this. Let's just talk about funny scenes now, because the plot sucks.
Wherever he worked at was like, he had like a mercenary group defending him for his research. Yeah, and so the mercenary group isn't even seen as bad. But then, like, right when Morbius is, like, getting injected by his shit that he made, and he has, like, a doctor assistant that is in love with him, watching him, one random, like, goon mercenary comes in being a dick for literally no reason. And that's how, like, all of the mercenaries are, like, villainified.
Yeah.
It's like, he walks in, he's like, "Hey, babe." And she's like, "Do not objectify me." And then he's like, looks like Michael Morbius is dying on that table.
And then
he Morbius out and just kills him.
Morbius screams at the camera and then goes slow-mo. Yeah,
he pulls a gun out on her. I don't know.
Did they pull a gun out on her?
The mercenaries. I don't remember. I knew that they got, like, randomly, like, super aggressive just because they needed to be. And that's when Morbius morbed out and just killed all those people. And then after that, it's like an Iron Man, like, kind of sequence where he's standing in a lab. He, like, gets to go, he flees the facility, and he has his own lab now, and he's, like, marking down his own little, things. It's like, I don't know.
All right.
It's so dumb.
Let's just put a pin in that because you're going a little too quick. I want to bring up some things about the boat sequence, which is probably the funniest scene in the whole movie.
Okay, go ahead.
So immediately these guards come in with guns and they're like shooting at Morbius, and then the worst slow-mo you've ever seen in your life kicks on as he's doing like a backflip or something. like just yelling at the top of his lungs. And lunging at people, and it looks terrible. The movie, I would recommend all of our viewers. I don't think I'd recommend this movie to many people just to watch because it's good, but I would say go watch that trailer, man. Go watch the first Morbius trailer because, man, it shows off a lot of what's great about the film.
Seriously.
Yeah. So this is all happening in the middle of like a boat. And the whole time Morbius is killing all these people that are now evil because the movie needs them to be. His girlfriend, like, Labus is just going, "No, Morbius, stop!" While he's, like, brutally murdering these people. It's so funny. And
Morb, this isn't like you.
This isn't like you. And then he, like, rips a guy to pieces and drinks his blood and throws him in the rafters.
Does he... Okay, I know when he's done morbing out, he, like, phones in a call, like, a dispatch helicopter, like, "Hey, there's a lot of hurt people here."
Yep.
And then he, like, does he dive into the fucking ocean?
Yes,
does that
I was
happen?
about to say, this is my favorite scene of the
does
movie.
he do that?
He dives, it's like a comedy, like, it's just hard cut to him outside and then his body falls out, and then the next time we see him, he's just in New York.
He's just in his lab.
He teleported
and he's just
there.
like, I have that of the body of an Olympic athlete, and I can do all this cool stuff, and he'll, like...
How far was he?
He'll
They said he was in international waters, and he has to drink blood every 6 hours. Does he swim? Did he swim all the way back to New York in 6 hours?
Did you not know that
wherever
Aquaman
he was?
helped him?
No.
Did you not know that the Vulture picked him up and dropped him off?
Okay, we'll get into that. But yeah, he shows back up in New York, and then he kills another lab assistant, and he didn't want to. And honestly, I don't think that scene is that bad. While I was watching the movie again, I was thinking, like, if Morbius, if Sony set up like a Spider-Man cinematic universe instead of whatever this was, and it was like,
it could work.
Spider-Man versus Morbius, like, this kind of, like, as a villain, like, trim down this story to like a few minutes. Don't include the stupid kid flashback. Just make it like doctor who has blood disease tries to cure himself and makes himself vampire, and then he can't control it. Like, that's a pretty good villain premise. And that scene of him tracking down the lady in the hospital kind of gave me like vibes of like that bit in Spider-Man 2 where like the Doc Ock is like his arms take control in like that room full of people. And I'm like, I think this would have worked really, really well.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember any of that in the movie.
With like a good director.
I think I only remember bits and pieces of this movie.
That was the scene where it was just a girl, like, doing like night shift as a nurse, and she was like, "Hello, is anyone there?" And then like the light would like blink and you'd see Morbius and then he'd be gone. And it was pretty intense, and I
don't remember this. I don't remember this.
This is honestly a better, like, I mean, this is a better horror production than Blumhouse have ever put out, like, that's not high praise, but I mean, that's what average audience members think good horror is, so, yeah. I think the scene was actually pretty decently done.
I think one thing it's like super hilarious is Morbius's whole like moral dilemma is that it all comes to a T when his friend Milo shows up, and he's like, "Wow, Morbius, you look stunning. You're buff. You don't walk with crutches anymore. Dude, I want a piece of that pie." And Morbius is like, "This is a curse, Milo. You can't have this. You don't need this. I've turned into a monster." And Milo's like, "Dope, I need it so bad. I just want to walk again." And Morbius is like, "No, you can't have it." and then he screams at Milo to leave, but Milo leaves with a vial of the Morbius
he didn't have those locked
serum.
up.
Yeah, Milo just straight up left with the serum. And that's that. Like, I think one thing, like, at least with Kraven, like, they always do have, like, a duo where, like, one of them turns evil or, like, something is sinister with, like, one of these weird duos that, like, are, like, shoehorned into the story. It's, like, it's so funny. But, basically, when that happens, Milo is going crazy after this. His whole mentality about being a vampire is, we are the few of many. And that's his whole ideology. He says that probably 5 times in the movie.
He refers himself as, like,
being a dickhead.
We're the Spartans. Like, he refers to himself as, like, war heroes.
Yeah.
And warriors.
And so Morbius, he doesn't want real human blood. He won't do it. And so he drinks his synthetic blood that is in his lab in New York that he swam to.
Which he locked up for some reason. I want to point this out really quick because this is in my notes. During the first scene where Morbius is tweaking out, he's like, he writes in his own blood, and then a marker to where the blood is. And it's like, he didn't have blood on standby? Why did he lock himself in this room? And the thing he needed was next door. Like, you need that. Like, you couldn't have included like 3 packs of blood in there for you, so just in case.
Yeah. But like the synthetic blood thing, it just, because he's a doctor and they have to do doctor things, and you know he's Nobel Prize whatever. He like Morbius, he doesn't like drink blood from like somebody's neck until, but I won't say yet. But he will.
I don't care. Who cares?
He will. Okay, listen. Anyways, he just drinks from like a blood bag for the whole movie. He like downs it and squeezes it in his mouth.
Like a Capri
and I think
Sun.
that was one of the funniest. Yes, it was one of the funniest things to me because it's like they couldn't have like actual blood or like it, like, you know, they couldn't like put it in like a, like, I don't know, a cup or something. Like you couldn't see it. So it's just a guy squeezing a bag into his mouth, and it's just so funny. I love it.
Yeah, it looks like he's squeezing saline into his mouth. Like, it doesn't look like he's squeezing blood.
It don't even look like it.
It looks like water.
Yeah, it looks like water. Yeah. And okay, what happens after that?
He tells the entire audience about his powers, and then he says, "I'm learning. I've got echolocation, or bat radar for the uninitiated," which made me burst out laughing. I forgot that was a line in the movie.
Bat radar.
Like, the audience members wouldn't know what echolocation is. They're so stupid.
Yeah.
And why would Morbius write that down? Did he forget what echolocation means? Is he... Who is this going to? Is it to us, the viewer? Is he breaking the fourth wall like Deadpool? I don't get it.
I honestly only remember bits and pieces from these like next few movies.
That's why I'm
because
here.
Like right after I watch them, it just like escapes my memory. Like,
and honestly,
like
that's the beauty of it, because every time I watch Morbius, it's like a new experience.
You're right.
That's why I bought the film on 4K in preparation for this episode.
Oh, wow.
Sadly, no director's commentary was included. I was going to watch it with that because I wanted to just hear. I wanted to know what their thought process was. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, I know where we are. So after that, Milo, he's his best friend that, you know, needed the vial, the Morbius serum. He's tweaking out and killing people, and so Morbius, he goes out to find him and stop him. But basically Milo is having like a moment. He's like, we can do anything with these powers. We can be evil and crazy.
Yeah.
And Morbius is just walking away from him. I think one thing...
Oh, is this
like,
the bit in the subway?
Yes, David Leto, his performance is so funny.
Yeah.
Because he looks like when his character is supposed to be like, no, this can't be. He just looks confused as shit. It looks like he got like he lost his mom in a Walmart. It's so funny. And so Milo's sitting there and he's killing people and like doing stuff. He's just
in broad daylight, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, he's not being stealthy at all. There's like police officers, and he's like, "All right, officer, you got me. I did kill that guy right in front of you." Like, he's a GTA character. And then he's like, all right,
Yeah.
get arrested. And he's like,
can
okay. And then
aggro
he
him.
immediately kills the cop. And then...
And so, yeah, Milo tries to fight Morbius, and Morbius, he dodges the punches because of his echolocation. But he also looks like he doesn't know where he is, like, the whole time. He just has a face of, huh?
Yeah, this is one of the many great uses of slow-mo throughout the movie, where it just makes the movie look infinitely worse. And I immediately start laughing.
And then he runs away from Milo. He just flies away from him. And it's supposed to be a whoa, holy crap moment. But his whole thing was trying to stop him. And he threw a couple punches and he just dipped.
Yeah.
He just dipped, dude. He just couldn't handle it.
It's awe-inspiring because you're like, wow, I didn't know he could do that.
I'm not gonna... I have to go stop Milo. Milo, I can't do this. I gotta go.
He's got to give him a lecture, and then whenever he doesn't take it to heart, he just runs away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then basically
I guess we should talk about
after that, I don't remember.
the detective characters that mean nothing.
Oh, yeah.
So I was doing some research, and I was watching that original trailer.
Okay.
Which, by the way, it literally plays out like a bit. Like, the end of the trailer, whenever it flashes up April 1st as a release date, I literally burst out laughing.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like a bit.
I have not seen the trailer.
Well, let me tell you. So, in the trailer, they show, like, the Spider-Man murderer question mark in the background, and that's not in the movie. That was to get people into the theater. And they also show that
because he murdered
So
Spider-Man?
there's the two detectives, right? There's, like, the white guy that's the nerd, and the black guy that, like, is cool. And that black guy in the trailer has, like, a robot arm for some reason. And that's just not in the movie.
Well, don't they just show up to Morbius like, oh, he gets... Yeah. Because, like, after he gets
off the boat, after he swims, like, 800 miles out to sea. And they just find him, and they're like, did you know something about a boat? And he's like, me? No. Me? Uh-uh. And they're just like, okay.
Me? No. They arrest him, don't they? Just on the spot?
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Because he has that epic scene where he escapes the cops by doing a spin in midair and going slow-mo and running out the window.
They just catch him anyways.
Yeah.
And then, so I skipped ahead because that whole fight scene thing happens, like, after he gets out of prison.
Wait, you skipped
which basically... I skipped Morbius, dude. But he's like, when he's imprisoned, he's sitting in there and he's tweaking out because he needs blood. And Milo comes to visit him and he can walk and stuff. And Morbius is like, no, this can't be. You can't be doing this. And then Milo leaves him some blood.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, this'll help you get out of here. And he drinks it, and then, like, right when Milo leaves, he's like, Milo! And he breaks out. And that's when he chases him, and that's when Milo has the "we can take over the world with these powers" kind of talk.
Yeah, okay.
And then they have, like, a scuffle, and that's when he leaves. But after that, I don't remember anything. I think,
after that, they're both
tries
fugitives.
to take a lab or something.
Yeah, they're both fugitives, and I want to bring up this scene where he goes to a lab. This lab that's run by, like, these guys that are, like, making drugs, I think is the assumption. And he's currently wanted, so he can't go back to his, like, big lab. So he's got to figure out a lab to work on, like, a cure or something somehow. And he just walks down and follows these two random guys. And he messes, he's like, oh, hey guys, can I borrow the lab? And they're like, hey man, get out of here before we kill you. We're not playing around. And he's like, and he starts messing with them and freaking them out a little bit. And they're like, man, what are you? Who are you? And he just goes, I am Venom.
I'm Batman. Oh, he's Venom. Oh my gosh.
In the trailer,
I forgot.
In the trailer, he goes, I am Venom. Just kidding, it's me, your friendly neighbor, Mr. Michael Morbius, Dr. Michael Morbius. And then, like, the trailer drops or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
So, in the context of the movie, he just says he's Venom to these random people, and then they just run off. Why did he do that?
Because it was cool.
It doesn't work in the context of the movie or the trailer, but it's funnier in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so terrible.
He takes the lab, he makes the serum, And that's when he's like, all right, I have to stop Milo for once and for all.
Well,
and
okay, slow down.
Right?
Milo kills...
Okay.
Milo kills the guy that was like... They're like almost like their father
like
figure.
dad.
Yeah, and he kills him with the fart punch.
Yeah.
Whenever, I think that's the only time that happens in the movie too, which kind of sucks. But
the fart
whenever
punch.
Milo hits his dad, it's literally, or it's like his surrogate father or whatever. It's literally like just a cloud of smoke that like appears from like all angles, and it like breaks the sound barrier, and then he just leaves.
He gets sent flying into the wall.
He doesn't do that to the cops. That just happens to him.
Yeah, man.
It's so random.
Well, also he had to put so much energy into it
into killing the 80-year-old man.
Despise their dad. They despise the dad because Michael Morbius was his favorite, and he was like, "I've devoted my whole life to you, right. Milo."
It was all the rage that built up.
He's like, "Milo, me name Milo, I kill you," and then he killed him, and then
And then right after that, Milo goes to a hotel, and then
I want to talk.
And then they just
he gets
have sex, and then he screams into the camera. That's
whatever song was playing.
That's another great. That's probably my second favorite scene in the film, because it's just so jarring and it's so funny and it's great for meme potential.
The song is horrible.
Yeah.
I want to talk about one part like really, really bad. Okay. It hurt my soul. That's like I actually started bursting out laughing. Okay. Like crying. Uh-huh. But basically, it's the third act of the movie, and things are spiking up. And Morbius, he has the vial thing to kill Milo, and he made an extra one for himself. And his lab assistant lady doctor is like, You're gonna end your life, Morbius? And he's like, I made this, so I have to put it up myself. And so he's like, he's gonna have a heroic sacrifice taking down Milo and himself, because when it gets to a certain point, he's gonna run out of synthetic blood, and he doesn't want to have real blood. And so I don't even know how he gets split up from his doctor chick, but all of a sudden she is kidnapped by evil Milo. Yep. And Michael Morbius is standing on a building, and he's hearing all this happen because of his advanced hearing. And he literally is hearing his love interest lady being, like, antagonized by Milo. Uh-huh. And is, like, saying, like, shout his name. Say his name. Shout Morbius. I know he can hear you. Like, stuff like that. And Morbius is just sitting there like a dumbass on a building just hearing this going, like, ugh. Ugh. And I don't know why he doesn't spring into action right there, because he sees the evil guy, he has his chick, and he's just standing there listening. And the only time he springs into action is when he kills her. Milo just kills her. And so he locks in and he runs over there, and it's like, if he didn't just hear it and just go immediately, he just had to sit there and listen to the main villain sit there and talk to his chick, and like, it's just so dumb. It's just so stupid. Yeah. And so he shows up, his chick is dead. He's like, oh man, no. And then she's like, you have to make my death worth something. And so, for the first time, Michael Morbius takes her blood, and he drinks real human blood for the first time, and that's when he goes to have his final battle with Milo. Mm-hmm. And that is probably another amazing part.
Another belly laugh moment. The final fight, which is so stupid.
It's literally just them, like, it's a big CGI just, like, slamming their heads into each other. I told you
beforehand, before you watched the movie, that the final battle is like a live-action anime fight, and it really is. It is so intense compared to the other parts of the movie. It's kind of hilarious.
They're slamming into buildings and stuff and just fighting to the death. And I don't remember how Morbius gets his power up, because he gets, like, shit on, like, super hard.
No, remember, he uses his bat radar, and then all the bats listen to him, and then they all run at Milo for some reason.
Yeah, he communicates with the bats. I remember that happened. I was like, what the heck? Because, like, he was, like, dangling from a building, and he lets out a giant scream. And I'm like, what the fuck did he do this? And then a bunch of bats show up, and he wins with bats. Like, how Milo is like just dog walking Morbius, like in this whole fight, just absolutely shitting on him. But when Morbius just has a swarm of bats to pin him down, like a bunch of bats to pin this dude down.
Yeah.
That's when he's able to put the vial into him. And then Milo's dying and he's all like, Bubby, puppy, no, this, Morbius, we used to be BFFs, no? And then he dies, and yeah.
Should have called him Batman. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh.
Whatever. That's the end of the movie. And then it's like teased his girlfriend's a vampire now too, so she'll be in the sequel that will never happen.
Yep.
Let's go to that end credits scene, which you skipped on your first viewing.
I didn't know that there was one. The movie finished and I was like, yup, on to the next one. I'm done. I finished.
This is my favorite post-credits scene ever in a movie. It opens with, and we're gonna go like scene by scene. It opens with a giant blue or a giant purple rip in the sky, and then
like Fortnite,
and then the Vulture is in prison in this universe, and then it's like police recording. It's like not police recordings. It's like news footage, and they're like, well, this random guy showed up at this place, and we don't know him, so we're gonna let him free. And then hard cut to Morbius driving his sick car down the road for some reason.
Yeah.
And then he meets up.
Because Morbius does that.
He meets up with Vulture. And Vulture comes flying
Vulture
down.
flies in with all of his gear.
He flies in full gear. And he says,
I don't know how I got here, but I think it's because of that Spider-Man film.
And doesn't Morbius agree with him, even though he doesn't know who Spider-Man is, because there's no Spider-Man in this universe?
No, he doesn't. No, Vulture talks through the whole scene. I genuinely think he says that, and then he, like, right after that, he's like, I'm thinking we need to do a team up. And then literally, or something like that.
No, he says...
And then Morbius just goes, interesting.
What is the verbatim? It's like... I think we should form a team of guys like us, or something like that. Like it is like it's like the Marvel quip, like we should form a team. I want to look up a Vulture Morbius quote. This will be first on Google.
Do it.
I'm not sure how I got here. Has to do with Spider-Man, I think. Morbius nods his head. Vulture, I'm still figuring this place out, but I think a bunch of guys like us should team up. Could do some good. That's the line.
Didn't do some good.
Yep. So
doesn't Morbius just say interesting?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the movie
and then the movie ends.
That's amazing.
Another thing that's interesting in that trailer, it shows Michael Keaton more in the trailer and makes it seem like he's actually going to be in the movie, but he's just in the post-credits scene.
I don't know why.
Yeah, so I guess we'll talk a bit about the meme culture behind this film. The movie bombed hard in the box office, and then it came out. And then it got a big meme push behind it. And I want to say, just for the record...
Morbing out.
I was ahead of the curve. Because this movie was originally going to release on my birthday. January 26th. And I was so hyped. This was before Morbin time. This was before everything. This was just me watching a movie trailer. And just... I knew I was in for it then. And... then it got pushed back to April 1st, and I couldn't stop laughing, because that's the funniest bit ever. Someone at Sony knew.
Yeah.
And, so, the movie comes out, and it's a bomb. I'm looking up the budget right now. $75 to $83 million budget. And let's look at a box office. $167 million. So it made like a little money, but not much. Sony was expecting this to be a big hit. Like, if you watch the trailer, they're like, it's a new breed of hero. This is like the start of their cinematic universe and everything. Like, they were expecting this to be big. Like, riding right off the coattails of like that Spider-Man No Way Home, which was like, made $3 billion.
Oh, yeah.
But the movie,
They were not gonna make
the
it.
movie bombed. It didn't do well, and it became a meme. And Sony decided to put it back in theaters, and the movie lost money by doing that because
That is hilarious.
nobody went and saw it. They put it back in theaters, and no one went and saw it. So they wasted money buying theater screens to play it in. There was also, at one point, there was an official meetup with the Morbius Discord server, and they all got personally invited to go see the film with Jared Leto. I would really love to see interviews and things of that nature about that event.
Did Jared Leto actually do it?
Oh, yeah. He went with like all 8 of them or something.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, the Morbius fan
chill.
club. But yeah, that's really all the movie kind of serves as. Sony still insists they made the movie was profitable, which, I mean, I guess it is profitable somehow.
In a way.
Where did it make money? No, not really. I was trying to see if it made money like in China or anything. No. But yeah, I mean, Morbius. Am I right, guys? Are we ready to move to ratings?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10.
Okay. I think
Because I think it's like interesting. Like you said before, like it's something you literally, it's such a slop movie that you forget it right after you watch it. And every time you watch it, it's just gonna be, you know, fresh on your mind.
yeah.
Because things literally just happen in the movie because they need to. Like, that is the whole purpose. Like, it's like, oh, Morbius, he needs to be cool here. We gotta make something cool for
Make
him
him
to
go
do.
fight these random street
Morbius
thugs.
needs to fight people. Yeah, it's like, what?
Morbius needs to be funny. Go
And
make a joke about him being Venom and then cut out the second part of that joke
Yeah.
in the movie, so it makes no sense.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna give it a 4. And that's a generous score, I think.
I'm right there with you. I think this is a 4 out of 10 on movie scale. On funny scale, I'm thinking a solid 7. On the funny entertainment
Yeah.
scale, man, I could put this on right now and have a blast.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now
let's move to the cream of the
what's
crop.
the next one?
Madam Web. This is easily the best film we're going to talk about today.
I think so.
So Madam Web
I agree.
is the story of Madam Web and her mom that went searching for spiders in the Amazon 6 years ago before she was killed.
She was killed by Ezekiel Sims, the best villain in fiction.
All right. We're already going too quick. So movie opens.
Go ahead.
Movie opens with pregnant Madam Web mom in the Amazon, and she's looking for a cure. I guess spoilers. She's looking for a cure to her baby's illness, and it has to do with these spider people in the Amazon. And Ezekiel Sims is there,
The spider
and
venom
he talks
would
like
cure her baby's illness.
Ezekiel Sims is there, and he talks like. How would you describe his accent to those that haven't seen the film?
I don't know. I could just
Just
do
do it, yeah.
Because the funniest thing, genuinely the funniest thing, like before, like Ezekiel's like sus, because like he has one conversations with Madam Web's mom, like before all the shit goes down, and he's just like, "Do you have this spider? I need to. You need to be quicker finding this spider." And she's like, "I'm doing everything I can," kind of thing. And so she comes back and finds it, and she's like, "Wow, such a small thing has this much power." And like right when she says power, Ezekiel Sims shows up and just starts shooting and killing everyone in their camp and holds Madam Web's mom at gunpoint. He's like, "Give me this spider. I need this spider."
His performance, it looks like he's dubbed over the entire time. Anytime he talks,
it's so
it
good.
looks like he's dubbed over.
It's so good. And so I remember that part, like, particularly because it has, like, a weird zoom on it. And it's like, it's supposed to be, like, it's like they're trying to convey to you that it's super tense, but he's just holding a gun to a pregnant lady. And so he goes to get the spider, and he's holding the gun against her chest, and they like struggle for a bit, and then he shoots her and takes the spider.
Yep.
And that's when the Amazon spider people show up, and they save Madam Web or some shit.
So Madam Web gets whatever. We're spoiling the. We're not talking about this movie in chronological order, man. So the Madam Web gets saved by these spider people because she gets born in the goop, in the spider goo.
Yeah.
So she has powers that she doesn't know of yet. Flash forward to New York. She's driving. She's an ambulance driver. Madam Web is an ambulance driver, and she's driving Uncle Ben.
She's also the worst like person to be in like an ambulatory like assistant, like anywhere near a hospital helping people. Like she is straight up a dick to everyone in the movie. Like she saves somebody's mom, and then their like daughter comes up and like is like, I made this picture of my family or something, and Madam Web like takes it and is like super like awkward but like a dick about it. Just like,
oh, thanks.
Like thanks. like it's like why do you have this job?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I was going to say, I think
Uncle
one of
Ben
my
is in the
favorite
movie.
lines in the movie, there's a bit where she's driving with Uncle Ben, and she says, like, I don't really like New York, or something like that. She says some terrible quip or something, and then Uncle Ben says verbatim, and I quote, "What's wrong? You never been shot at Queens before?" Which is subtle foreshadowing to what would happen later to Uncle Ben in the Spider-Man films.
He did get shot at Queens, I get it.
And then there's the scene where they're opening fortune cookies, and she opens hers, and it's like, it says that
your future.
There's no end of mine. Like, hers is messed up. She's like, I could write my own future, and he's like, no, the printer's broken. Haha.
Yeah,
and it's like
it was really
subtle
funny.
foreshadowing to what Madam Web's ability is.
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese was watching this, and he was taking notes.
And then I think right after that, she like kind of has her powers or something.
No.
Not yet.
She goes back to her apartment, and she feeds the cat. And then she goes, us strays need to stick together.
My favorite line, us strays need to stick together. That, like, I hate the way this movie is written, where it's like...
Personally, I love it.
Well, I love it, in a way, but at the same time, it just irks me so bad, because, like, if you're making something, look at this movie for, like, literally everything you can do wrong. Like, basically, anything that they want to convey to the audience, a character will just say it. Like, without, like, it's... They act like you're 5 years old, and you're eating your baby soup, in, like, in the theater. Like, you don't know what's happening. Oh...
Yeah, and then this is when the scene you're talking about happens, where she's gotta save this guy. She gets called on an ambulance thing, and she's gotta go save this guy who's stuck in a car on a bridge, and the car's falling off.
Yeah,
and she
it's
gets
like
in
flipped,
there,
and it's on the edge.
And Uncle Ben helps the guy out, but Madam Web's still in the car. And then she flies out, or the car flies down the bridge, and she gets slammed into the water, and then. She gets...
And then there's all the webs.
Yeah, it just shows everything.
Her future.
Yep. I have just written down in my notes...
everything that's going to happen in the movie.
S. I have a capital S just written in my notes.
Yes. That was the one thing I remembered. It just shows you the S sign.
Which that'll be important later. I don't want to spoil what that's used for later in the film. They put out that bit of the movie before... They put out like a clip of that movie on Twitter before the movie came out. As like a marketing thing, and I literally couldn't stop laughing because I thought this S stood for Spider-Man. Like,
really?
Yes, like a week before the movie came out, I saw that clip and I was like, "Wow, this is terrible." And the clip is so terribly edited on Twitter. It's not that bad in the theatrical cut, but in Twitter, it looks like she's saving herself from the from the car. If you remember that.
Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, she's presumed dead for like 3 minutes, and then she wakes up and Uncle Ben is like, you were like dead, and then let me check your blood pressure.
What?
And then she like wakes up, and then Uncle Ben is like, you were like dead for 3 minutes. Let me check your blood pressure. And she's like, but my blood pressure's fine. You just checked it. It's 89/33. Why do I remember this? And then Uncle Ben is like, well, yours right. It is 89.
Yeah.
And then, so this should be your first, so that the viewer at this point knows Madam Web has powers. And like,
but Madam
Web's
does
so
not.
stupid, she don't know what's going on at all. So she goes to a baby shower, right? And
it's Uncle Ben's baby shower.
Well, no, it's Uncle Ben's sister's baby shower.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
She's pregnant, and her baby, it's a baby boy who's related to Uncle Ben. Who do you guys put in the comments below? Who do you think it is? It's Peter Parker.
Guys,
it's Peter Parker.
Who is it? And I remember there was a fucking line in it that hurt so bad, and it was like, oh, I can feel him crawling around. Oh my gosh, dude. Please end your life, dude. Oh my gosh. Also, Madam Web walks around the baby shower with like a Pepsi the whole time.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about product placement yet.
Like, actively in view.
Yeah. She sets it down on the table like so that the Pepsi logo is facing the camera.
It's like almost as atrocious as like the Sony advertising and like the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. She just walks around with a Pepsi. Oh.
Well,
it hurts my soul.
We'll get back to Pepsi. Anyway.
Yeah, we will. Pepsi is also foreshadowing, so...
Yep. So they have a cookout and baby shower thing. And then they get called off. Well, no, Madam Web freaks out because a balloon popped. And then she keeps on reliving this balloon popping through her precognition or whatever. And then she...
Well, she fails a social
I was about to say, she trauma dumps.
Like, weenies.
Yeah.
She has some, like, weenies, and then she eats them, and then they all look at her, and she, like, spits it out, but then she, like, time blips because she doesn't know her powers or something.
I thought you were talking about the bit where she's like, yeah, well, my mom hated me and all that, and she does on this whole spiel about, like... Yeah, well I never knew my mom. I like, like, this whole thing in front of this whole group of people, and they're like, okay, Madam Web. And then Uncle Ben runs in, there's a fire downtown, we gotta go. And so, so they go to this fire downtown to clean it, or to save people. And this character shows up. He was introduced in the last scene, but he's so unimportant. In the last scene, he's grilling hamburgers, and he has like 2 lines of dialogue.
And he's just like, yep. Well, no, he really doesn't say anything. He's flipping burgers, and she's like, why are you pressing on him? That's all the flavor, man. And it's like something like that, and he's just like, yup, yup. And then next scene, she's like, they're at the fire, and she's like helping somebody, and Uncle Ben's like, we need you over there, Madam Web. And she's like, okay. But while it's happening, she's getting visions of
this place is a death trap.
Of an ambulance crashing into a truck. And she's just like, the dude that they met scenes prior is, he literally says when he leaves the building that, you know, this place is a death trap.
He says this place is a death trap, and he says, there's so many explosives in there, this place should be torn down years ago. Which, foreshadowing. Keep that one in mind.
Yup. And then he gets it. He goes to his car, to his emergency vehicle, and Madam Web runs over, and she's like, "Hey, I think I should drive." And he just completely puts her off, and is like, "You know, you had a traumatic experience a couple days ago. You died basically. I got this. You chill out, okay? It affects your workplace behavior." And then he gets in the car, and Madam Web's like, "Oh man," and she walks away, and it just like has the EMT vehicle like driving off in the background, and it just comically gets T-boned by a truck,
an 18-wheeler,
and he dies.
Yeah, no more burgers. Cookout canceled.
Cookout is canceled.
Madam Web still doesn't know her powers at this point, by the way.
Yeah, I don't even know how it goes back. I think it just like trauma responses and everything goes back, and I don't remember. I feel like it cuts to Ezekiel Sims at this
Okay,
point.
I was about to say, because I was just reading my notes, and I just have this line, how did they get images from his dream? And I was like, what is that in reference to? And then I remembered the Ezekiel Sims, they took my spider.
It goes back. It goes back to Ezekiel, and he's like sleeping, and he has the dream of these 3 spider girls killing him, like stealing his spider and then throwing him off the building, and he dies, and he wakes up in a cold sweat, and he has like some chick with him, and she's like important. Or something,
well, she's a government agent. He picked up this government agent, and then they bang, and then he's like, "Give me all the secrets to the NSA," and she's like, "Okay, sure." And then,
and then she tries to kill him, but he stops her, but like it's so dumb. He's like, he wakes up, and she turns over towards him, and she's like, "What happened? Was it a dream?" He's like, "I have the same dream every night. And these people, they steal my spider and they kill me. I have to get them." And that's basically like his whole motivation to kill these girls before they kill him.
Hard cut to the next scene where there's some random woman in his house that's different from the other random woman that was in his house last scene that he killed. And she is working on the movie takes place in 2003, by the way. And she has like 18 computer monitors, and she has this whole CSI Miami set up in her house. And Ezekiel Sims is like, "I have these pictures of the spider women from my dream somehow." And like, where did you get those?
Because they have
Did he draw
before
them?
any of the girls are like suited up or anything, so it's just straight up from his dream.
Yeah.
And like the computer like analyzes them and it finds them, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to get them. I'm going to murder these girls."
Yeah, they had this technology in 2003 to take dream pictures.
You didn't know?
No. That's one of the ones they're still keeping under wraps, right?
Yeah. And then after that, they go to their... Why is she at the train station?
You're missing an important scene. I have written down a singular word, and it's gonna bring it all back, Blaine.
Oh, gosh, dude.
Pigeon.
Pigeon?
You remember. This is how she realizes her powers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's watching
Christmas
Scrooge
Carol
on the TV, and Scrooge is like, you can't change your future.
He says, "Madam Web, this is the plot of the movie." And then she goes,
and then Madam Web's like, "Yeah, Scrooge, you can't do that."
Wait, is this a Christmas movie, or are they showing a Christmas Carol like in mid-June?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, she pops popcorn.
And then the pigeon crashes into her window.
And dies. So then she gets a premonition of this happening, so she's like, "I'm going to go open that window." And then the pigeon immediately... Well, it flies in and then flies back out, which I joked while we were watching the film with the same group of people we watched Sunshine with, by the way. Double feature. I joked that that pigeon wouldn't fly directly back out. It'd try to fly out the other window and kill itself. Like, that's what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been the joke, like a Marvel bit. That'd have been funny.
Yeah, it would have worked, but they're not smart enough.
Yeah. So anyway, she now knows she has like powers of precognition. So she goes to a train station for some reason, and they somehow all meet together. So the 3 spider women from the dream, Sydney Sweeney, and the other 2. I don't know who the other 2 actresses are. But the skateboard chick, and then like, what's the other one? Is there like a what's the other one do?
She don't have a personality, bro.
She's like a doctor, isn't she, or something? Doesn't she like do something?
I don't know.
Sydney Sweeney's the nerdy one. The other one's the skateboarder, and the other one just exists.
Yeah.
And all their dads and moms hate them, and they all have parental issues because that's how you write a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously. But they all meet up on the train coincidentally,
It's part of Madam's web.
And
they're all brought together.
And Madam's web is she's seeing all these people getting like choke slammed and murdered.
I was about to say whenever you mentioned train station and Madam Web, I got a Madam Web vision of that guy just choke slamming one of them into like a railing or something. And
yeah. And so
New York's a whole new level of crazy.
Yeah, she sees like a bunch of things, and she looks over at this grandma that gets like punted, and she's like, "Is this real?" And the grandma's like, "Are you okay, sweetie?" And then she sees another vision. She's just like, she locks in. She's just like, "All right, all of you, you have to get off this train right now." And she's talking to the 3 girls or whatever, the 3 spider girls. Mm-hmm. And so she gets them off of the train, and Ezekiel, she stands there, and all the girls are like, "What's happening? Hey, we're getting kidnapped!" And she's like, "Oh, be quiet, stop!" And then Ezekiel, he walks on the train.
He's in his spider suit now, which we have to mention is the worst looking thing ever.
No, not the first one. Not at the beginning. He's in his suit because
that's right.
When he's on the train, he mean eyes Madam Web before he shows up.
That's right. Continue.
Because he's like, "What is going on?" And
why
then
is she
after
here?
That. Why is this happening? But he, oh my gosh. After that, the girls are like, "Hey, this is a kidnapping. Hey, you can't do this. Blah, blah, blah." And it's like, it's so dumb, and I don't care. And Ezekiel, he starts crawling on the ceiling in broad daylight, like literally over a lamp that is illuminating the whole entire subway. But anyway,
the cops have like Metal Gear Solid field of view where they can only see like 30 degrees in front of their face, and they have no They have no peripheral vision at all.
And so they're like, "Oh shit!" And they run off, and they hijack a damn taxi and drive off in it, and they ditch Ezekiel, and Ezekiel's like, "Oh dang it! I missed the girls. I'm going to have to go after them in 20 minutes time, or I don't know. I guess in a day I'll come back, so something like that." And so when they're in the taxi, another thing that I hate the movie for is like explaining everything to the audience. It's like the audience is thinking, "Hey, isn't this weird? She's kidnapping the girls. The girls aren't happy about this." And so she's like, she stops the car and she's like, "Hey, if you want to get out, get out." And then one of them is about to, and then she locks the door and she's like, "Well, I guess I'm wanted, so you can't do that." And then she drives off and she leaves the 3 girls just in the woods, and she's like, "I'm gonna figure this out, okay, girls? But you just stay here and you do absolutely nothing, okay? I'm gonna go figure this out." And so she leaves, and the girls, what does she even do?
They go to the forest.
Well, no, what does Madam Web do when she leaves the girls?
She goes to Brazil.
Is that actually when she leaves? Like, she just goes to another continent? Or does that happen late? No, that happens later.
No, she goes back to her apartment so that she can look at the thing that makes her go, "Oh, I have to go to Brazil." Because she's like, "That guy looks familiar. That's the guy that knew my mom 6 months before she died in the Amazon while she was searching for spiders."
And they also do the thing where, like, she looks at the book and she's like, "Oh, spiders," and she like tries to climb on the wall and then she fails, and it's like
oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
You guys heard of Spider-Man before?
Girls,
audience member?
Oh, the girls they are out in the woods and they're like, "I'm so freaking bored. I don't want to be here anymore. Hey, there's a local diner across the woods in Manhattan." And they're like, "Oh, yes, let's all do that." And they're like, "Oh, I don't have any money." And then the skater girl chick is like, "I do." And so they go to a local Denny's.
No, they don't go to no Denny's, bro. They go to like the
4-star.
They go somewhere. It's a mom and pop diner, and they're eating food. And you're like, okay, how are they going to mess this up? They're just eating food. And then
they see a bunch of
boys, so naturally they go over there and start dancing on the table like morons. And then some guy's like, "What the heck? I'm calling the police." And then Ezekiel Sims intercepts that call and goes, "3 girls dancing on a table? I know where that is." And then
Madam Web shows up and she's like, "What is going on? I told you guys not to do this."
And then Ezekiel Sims shows up and starts murdering random
squad
people.
Wipes all of them. He squad wipes everyone.
He doesn't
diner.
even just kill the 3 girls. He also kills these random patrons of this diner for some reason.
Well, he's evil.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
They're in the way of the
spider. I guess that's true.
And I don't know. And
then Morbius. Madam Web gets stabbed, and so she's like, "Whoa."
She's like, "Whoa."
I can't let that happen.
Car. And then it plays Toxic by Britney Spears while she's in the car, and it's like, and she's driving, and it's like, whoa, this is so cool. And so it replays the scene where the girls are dancing on the table, and Ezekiel shows up, and Ezekiel's like, "Yeah, I got you now, girls. You are over." And then he just gets hit by a car. Madam Web just drives the car.
I guess we should say through the diner, yeah.
Through the diner, just knocks him off his feet into the wall, and she's like, "Girls, get in the car quickly!" And then they all get in, they just drive away. Oh.
I think we should talk about the editing for just a moment. Because
yeah.
I was just imagining the editing in the scene where all of them are in the diner, and then Ezekiel Sims comes in, and it's literally like 3 seconds sped up footage of Ezekiel Sims just grabbing one of them and choke slamming them into a table and killing them. And then it's like back to reality, and it has like this like haze filter around it. It looks like a YouTube sketch. It's hilarious. Like if it was done for comedy, genius. Because everyone burst out laughing. People in the VC were not as locked into this movie as they were to Sunshine. But whenever Madam Web premonition happened, everyone looked at their screen and just saw the funniest thing happen get played out. And didn't one of the girls didn't he like grab one of the girls by like their feet and like grab them and like make them fall face first on the ground or something? Like he kills them in the most ridiculous ways.
He grabbed one of them by the neck. I know he threw somebody into the damn ceiling.
Yeah.
Like he literally he squad wiped them. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like they didn't even stand a chance.
Viewer, go look up Madam Web diner scene on YouTube and just watch the whole thing because it's worth it.
Kino.
Yeah, here's one by Movie Clips. Toxic Diner Massacre. There you go. That's what you're looking for.
Toxic Minor Death.
Toxic Diner Massacre. Alright, so after that, they all escape, and she's like, "You're gonna go stay at Uncle Ben's house. I've gotta go to the Amazon." And she just gets a flight there immediately.
No, she stays them. She keeps them at a motel.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. And she's like, "Here, you got to learn CPR in case we get in danger."
Yeah, she teaches them CPR, and then also all the girls are like, "Yeah, my parents are like in Zimbabwe right now, and they don't care about
my
me.
dad pollutes the
my
ocean."
Parents, my parents they blew up or something. Oh yeah, my parents. I don't know. They're meth heads. Like I don't know. Their parents are non-existent. Yeah. They hate them, and so it's just like it's the perfect family environment for Madam Web taking in these 3 girls, and then she's like, "Well, girls, I got to go to the Amazon real quick. Just a quick 5 minutes to the Amazon. I have to get in my training arc real quick so I can take down Ezekiel." And
then she gets to the Amazon, and then they're like, "Madam Web, you're powerful." And then she realized the truth about her mom, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, my mom did love me." And then there's a bit where she stands up and she's talking to her mom. And then her mom is like, "I always loved you." And then they hug each other in the dream. And the way this has been portrayed throughout the entire movie is that she can just like view these kind of events. Like she can't interact with them. So did her mom stand up and give her fake daughter an invisible hug in the room in front of that counselor?
I don't know.
I hope so.
Well, she was also bit by the sputter. So in my headcanon, since she was bit by the spider, she's also Time Weaver. When you think,
yeah, but she's dead.
Yeah, but she's a dead Time Weaver. And I also remember when
New York City, a whole new level of crazy.
That when she meets like some guy who's not like one of the spider people that like saved
the guy with
her
the
mom,
beard.
but he's like he knows everything, and he says some like stupid shit. He says something.
I've got it written down right here.
Right when I do too. when like everything's said and done, she's about to leave. He's like, when you take responsibilities, great power will come. And he says that, and then she's like, oh wow, I gotta go back to New York now.
Yep.
And she does.
Okay, so Uncle Ben, his sister, her water breaks, and so they gotta go to the hospital. And Uncle Ben is like,
he's trying to crawl out. Oh, he's trying to crawl out.
So Uncle Ben is like, we have to take these 3 people that are wanted with us right now. We can't leave them at home to like hide under the bed for hours.
Well, listen, Uncle Ben is chill like that,
I guess
dude.
so. And then Uncle Ben is like, put on these jackets and don't look out the window. So naturally, one of them looks out the window, and Ezekiel Sims
literally just stares out the window, like full on, like they have like a hoodie on, but their whole face is just out there, and they like are literally hugging the window. And that's when because Ezekiel has he
can see every camera in the city.
Every camera, yeah. And so he's like, oh, I found it, girls. I have to get them. And, he does. He shows up and he has bombs now. When did he didn't use a bomb before, but he straight up, like, blows up a car. And then,
because Madam Web is arriving to the scene now. She learns what's going on.
Yeah.
And she's arriving, and she gets a vision of everyone dying.
Right back from Amazon.
She gets a vision of everyone getting blowed up.
She steals another vehicle. She steals an EMT
vehicle, yeah.
Which that is a federal crime. What are you doing?
Look, she just did an oopsie, okay? She could explain it once the police take her in.
I don't know. Anyways, she drives, she pulls up to the scene. Ezekiel's there, and he's like about to blow up something. I don't know. He's Kira Yoshikage with his bomb in his hand, and he's about to do
he's doing his monologue.
And then
here comes Madam Web. Absolute no cares given. Full speed through the side of a parking garage, through the billboard, and then Ezekiel Sims backflips into the car or into the EMT, getting hit by it, stopping the bomb from going off.
Yeah.
And so then...
But one of the bombs do go off. Like, somebody does die.
Yeah, you're right. Well, that person
one car
matter.
Still blows up for some reason.
I think it was a taxi.
And they're dead, but...
Then Madam Web is like...
that taxi driver. Nobody cares about them. Am I right?
Madam Web is like, girls, come on. And then Ezekiel Sims is like, it's them. I've got to find them. There they are. And then he's leaping from car to car because this... So he got bit by a spider, but he doesn't have, like, the super strength, or... All he can do is wall climb. That's all the spider power he got. He can't web sling, he can't do nothing.
He doesn't have Spidey sense.
Oh, he does not have Spidey sense. There's no way.
That's why he gets hit by cars, like, twice, and, like, he is just the most pathetic Spider-Man villain of all time, but I love him. And he, like, they're in the EMT vehicle, and of course they have the rehabilitator, things, and they're like, wait, use it at the right time, and Ezekiel's jumping over cars, and because I don't know, dude. He gets on the top of the EMT truck, and they use the rehabilitator things, and they shock him, and he's and he falls off, and then they get away,
and then they park convenient. Or no, the gas runs out of the vehicle, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Why wouldn't that ambulance be full of gas? You think that would be like first top priority considering they were going to deliver a pregnant woman? That's why the EMT was called? Yeah. They would have just run out of gas halfway before they got to the hospital.
What do? They drop off pregnant lady and Uncle Ben, and then they just drive off to a firework place, right?
They don't have Uncle Ben in the car. Uncle Ben's or in that EMT, he's just somewhere else, right? I thought they leave because he don't care. Ezekiel Sims ain't after Uncle Ben. He's after the girls. So the girls go in the EMT, and then Uncle Ben goes away.
He dips.
Yeah, he dips.
He dips with pregnant lady.
Yeah. And then what happens? So they go to the fireworks factory.
They go to the fireworks.
Madam Web closes her eyes, and she's like, "Let me think." And then we get the flashback of this whole place is a death trap. There's so many explosives in there. And then Madam Web's like, I know what we're gonna do. And so
she like gets a bunch of flares and puts them under like all the fireworks, and she like, I think the stupidest vision that she saw, like I think the only benefit that she got from this whole thing, because the whole final like big battle, every single firework is working against them the whole time. The only thing that like I guess stopped them is like, I guess Ezekiel is just so stupid and dumb. There's a bunch of fireworks and he doesn't know what's going on. But one thing that she saw was a wall, like a firework exploding a wall for them to run through. Like, okay. And so they set them off. Ezekiel gets there and he's like, I have to kill the girls. And, you know, he gets hit by a firework or some shit. And they run and they get to a rooftop and they've already called in a helicopter to help save them. And, you know, you can go.
So they call in a helicopter to save them. And then
it's hurting.
The whole building's blowing up because there's so many fireworks in there. It's just a death trap. And so all the girls get put in precarious situations, and then Madam Web, Ezekiel Sims is like, "How are you going to save them all? You can't." And then she's like, "Yeah, well, I learned something back in the Amazon." And then she splits herself into 3 bodies, and then all these 3 spirits save the 3 girls. And then
because the 3 girls were fighting Ezekiel, and they got no diffed again, and so
they get like tripped and then like die
for some reason.
Yeah,
because every time that they like went within kill range of Ezekiel also has like poison. That's his only like weird ability that he has. He can just poison somebody and kill them, but for some reason he doesn't poison them when he's fighting them. He just kind of like knocks he hits the like backhand, like throw them 30 feet away from you. And so they're like dangling off of buildings, like falling and stuff. And that's when Madam Web is like, I learned this in the Amazon. And she literally, like, the only she doesn't use her clones in like a cool way or like fighting him. She literally just uses them to like Fortnite revive her friends.
Yeah, and then they're all back up, and then I don't know, her and Ezekiel Sims are fighting on top of a sign or something, a Pepsi Cola sign.
Pepsi sign.
And then Ezekiel Sims gets pushed off. He gets hit by a firework. And then the Pepsi sign collapses and the Pepsi S falls on him and he's stuck. And then he gets crushed under rubble. So the S from the beginning of the movie was foreshadowing Ezekiel Sims' death.
I thought he got killed by the P.
Maybe. What's the point of the S then?
I thought the S like broke. The S broke off, and that's when like he got trapped by all this stuff.
And then the P fell on him and killed him.
Was like,
that might be true. That may be true.
Because Madam Web was like, you thought that your future was going to be met by the girls, but it was actually me. Yep. And then the P comes down and kills him, and he's like, no!
And then the whole building falls apart, and Madam Web has to jump off, and then she gets hit in the face by a rocket and gets blinded.
And
she's like drowning in the water below, and then the girls save her and they give her CPR because the girls learned CPR 8 scenes ago.
Wow. And then the whole movie is just expert foreshadowing. Puts Ichiro Oda to shame.
And then what happens? Then she wakes up in the hospital and she's like, I love you guys. And then Uncle Ben's like,
we're going to name Peter.
No, I don't think they ever name drop him. I think it's just implied that it's Peter Parker. I mean, who else would it be? But they're like, the baby's fine. Look, here he is. And
because Madam Web like reads his future and is like, he's going to be amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's implied she knows that Uncle Ben's gonna die, but she doesn't do anything.
Fantastic.
So yeah. And then it hard cuts to the future, and all the girls are grown up, and they have spider powers, and they fight instead of
They don't have them yet. They do not have them yet.
Well, they have suits and stuff.
No, what happens is they come back and they're living with her now, and they're all sitting there cutting up because they're family and stuff. and Madam Web is all, she has her blind people glasses on. She's like staring out a window, and they're like, "What about you can read futures now, right, Madam Web?" And she's like, "Yes. And I think all of your futures are going to be epic in Papega." And that's when it cuts to them, because, like, Madam Web doesn't have her suit yet or anything.
That's right, and it's the worst looking suit I've ever seen in my life.
It's horrible.
And then the end of the movie is, like, the 3 Spider Women grown up with all their powers, like, and they don't fight supervillains. They fight, like, crack addicts in, like, a parking lot.
Random thugs.
And then they fight, like, some random guy, like, robbing a single house. Like, nice one. You stopped this one robbery.
Saving the day.
The Vulture killed 8 people.
The Vulture. And it just shows them doing stuff, and Madam Web's like, "You guys you always fight for what's right, and you're so awesome and epic, and you're like Spider Women, and it's just going to be so awesome, and the next movie is going to be amazing, guys. You gotta watch it."
She looks at the camera and she goes, "I know we kind of messed up this one, but just trust me, the next one will hit. I see it in the future."
And that's how the movie ends.
Yeah. I guess we'll talk about this.
R.I.P. Ezekiel, dude.
Our little in joke throughout this movie was every time someone would say anything related to a character, like,
in all of
my
these
dad,
movies.
my dad is, someone would interject with the Vulture, or my dad went overseas and he met the Vulture. My mom was in the Amazon and she met the Vulture. Like, every time there was a character mentioned, the Vulture got mentioned. And that was fun playing ad-libs with Spider-Man villains. So yeah, let's rate this one.
I'm gonna give this a well, shoot. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Really?
On movie scale. It's like Morbius.
You think? Because I think Morbius is more of a movie than this, though. Like, Morbius has, like, a structure, kinda, and works.
Yeah.
Like,
because I think at first I gave it a 2.
That's too low.
I know. And I think... because I'm trying to consider... I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 4. But on the enjoyment scale, I'm gonna give it an 8.
We are exactly almost the same. I'm gonna give it a 3 on the movie scale because I think it is a bit more incompetent than Morbius. Because Morbius has scenes where it's like, oh, the script calls for this, that's why it's happening. Madam Web has that every scene. Like, Morbius, it happens like a few times, but here it's literally every scene in the movie. But
just describing what's happening to you.
That honestly makes the movie better for me in enjoyment scale, because every scene is just a disaster in motion. So on the enjoyment scale, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 as well. Hilarious. Must-see comedy.
It's really funny. I think, for me, Ezekiel makes the movie because he has the funniest accent. He's so incompetent and stupid. And, like, the scene, like, I remember when we first watched it in theaters, and, like, the one, like, it wasn't
I guess we should tell the people.
But when he ran across the building, like a juggernaut, it, like, killed me. Like, he can't web sling or anything, so he just, like, runs around on buildings. Like, it's just so funny.
I guess we should tell the people at home. This is my second time watching Morbius. Blaine time's first time watching it. We've both seen Madam Web twice now, and we both only saw Kraven once. So I have seen most of these twice. Mm-hmm. So I guess let's get on to Kraven. The one that's the most boring, has the least amount going on, the least amount of funny moments. It's kind of the worst of all three of them. Kind of a letdown, honestly.
It really is bad. Because when you look at the rest of them, at least, like, you know, they have something happening in the film. Kind of because, hold on, my brain, it's hurting. Madam Web, like, absolutely tanked it. Yeah. But Kraven, like, its whole thing is that it has the rhino in it. So, but the rhino is supposed to be the big thing that draws in all the Marvel fans. It's like, look, Rhino's going to be in the movie. Yeah. But because...
Like Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Because they can't, like...
Look, guys, look, the Rhino's going to be in it.
They can't make the Rhino do anything until the end of the movie. The movie just does nothing.
What are you talking about?
Until the end of the movie.
So in this universe, the Rhino has these syringes hooked up to him constantly, and that's how
he is like the weakest version of the Rhino to ever exist ever.
And that's how he like stays human. And so there's multiple points in the movie where he's like, it hurts a lot, but I'm gonna go Rhino mode and show these random goons who's boss. Because he's like, it's like a mafia story where the Rhino is trying to take over a bunch of territory, and he's trying to take over territory from Kraven's dad, and Kraven hates his dad. And so his dad goes behind his back and like makes it to where these guys will kidnap his brother that he likes so that Kraven will fight the Rhino.
That's the whole big twist of the movie. We just jumped like an hour and 45 minutes into
Spoilers
the movie.
for Kraven, by the way. It doesn't, because the movie doesn't make sense without that knowledge.
It doesn't. It's just like the beginning. He's young, and his dad's like, well, shoot. What is his voice? I can't do his voice.
Neither can the movie.
I can't do a Kraven dad voice. It's just like super Russian and I don't know, Slavic. It's just he's just like, hey,
you ever played a guy from?
I'm gonna do this voice.
You ever played any of those Metro video games? He sounds like any character in that. He's like, Kraven, come here, son, come here.
Oh, Kraven, Kraven, we need to go hunting. We need to go.
Your mother just died horrifically. We're going hunting. You're going to show them who's boss.
And your pussy-ass brother can come too, but we are going to go hunting. You need to see the hunt, something like that. I don't even know.
Beginning of the movie
and then
is
they take him to the hunt.
Kraven the Hunter kills this random guy in jail, and then he runs out into the snow, and then he like contacts a wolf.
He has the list,
and then he runs into the snowstorm.
He has the list,
and then he gets on top of, or no, he gets in a plane, and then he flies off, and he's like. He marks one of them off the list, and then title.
You know
comes
what?
up.
Actually, I'm kind of excited to think about this movie again because it has. When we left the theater, I had nothing to say because like
I still don't.
Like there's
I didn't
nothing.
take notes.
I still have nothing. But when we're talking about it again, like it's kind of coming back in my memory, but like it really is just nothing.
Well, here's the funny thing, right? We went to go see Madam Web, and there was like nobody in the theater except for one poor girl a row below us that was actually probably trying to watch the movie. And then whenever I went to see Morbius, it was like me and my friends in the theater, and then like like a 5-year-old kid and his dad, and then like one other guy. And this was like opening day.
Ours was pretty...
Like in like the theater we usually go to has like 30, 40 seats in it. The theater I saw Morbius in was like 100, 150 seats. So it was empty, all right? But when we went to go see Kraven, half the theater was full. Like, there was like 20 people watching Kraven.
There was, it's a rated R movie, and I saw a little girl in there. There was like a 5-year-old in our theater, and like, for some reason, they have like, just these like super like, I don't know, like gross out like kills for some reason in the movie.
Because it's rated R.
I was yeah, but it's just.
Did you ever read a Spider-Man comic book and go, man, I want Kraven the Hunter to just kill and murder everyone brutally on screen. I want to see him.
On God,
I want to see him rip the tooth out of a tiger and stab it in a dude's neck, and I want a close up of that. Like.
Yeah, give it to
me. That's how he kills a guy, by the way.
He gets his powers because he goes on a hunt with his dad, and because his dad's like, yes, Kraven, we go hunt now, and we take your brother and whatever, and they go on a hunt. It's actually so dumb because they're on a hunt and then they split up for some reason, and like right when that happens, it's Kraven and his brother.
Hey, you're forgetting a crucial character.
Just like slash TPs. The lady with the serum?
No, another crucial character. I forgot about her. So there's a guy. So
well, the guy who's
Russell Crowe, Kraven's dad, is like has a group of people he goes and hunts with. And one of these guys, he's got glasses, and he's like, "You're not that guy, pal," to like Kraven's dad. And Kraven's dad is like, "Yeah, well, you gotta have power to be a man like me." And then he's like, "Okay." And then he'll be important later. I guess we'll just spoil it. That guy's the Rhino. That guy immediately after this hunting trip goes to New York and becomes the Rhino off screen.
Yeah, he just gets roided up. And he just goes and.
So that's why he's trying to kill Kraven's dad, is because he wants revenge. Because he was like, "You told me I was not powerful. Oh yeah, well I'm the most powerful guy of all. I'm Rhino."
Yeah, I am the Rhino.
So yeah, and, Kraven and his dad and his brother are like hunting a tiger or a lion, and then everyone except Kraven and his brother leaves. And
they split up because they have like a camera pan like above them, and they like just like split up for some reason. Then a lion just straight up slashed TPs, and he's like, "Brother, get away!" And then Kraven gets mauled by a tiger, not a tiger, a lion. What am I saying? And the lion mauls him to death and takes him away, and Kraven's dad shoots at it a couple times. And
as he's getting taken away, he's like, he gets glimpses of. Well, no, he's like still conscious, right? He's not dead. And then the lion, once he realizes Kraven's like not a threat, like the lion like throws him down on the ground. And then Kraven's dad shotguns it right in front of him, and then a part of the blood from the lion goes into Kraven's blood. And the lion lets him go. Yeah.
The lion lets him go. Kraven's dad he kills the lion off screen.
Oh.
Because when the lion drops off Kraven, the one lady with like the serum bottle that her grandma gave her, she has a whole scene where they do tarot card readings, and it's like, the strength card.
Yeah, it's like, you ever watch JoJo? That's what they said on screen.
Yeah. Yeah, they basically.
It's like one of my Japanese animes.
She shows up and she has the vial, and she gives it to him while he's like dying, and the blood hits him from the lion, and
the blood hits him from the lion, so he's got lion blood in his bloodstream, mystical lion blood in his bloodstream, and then he drinks the serum.
Mystical lion blood.
So he's got the double juice. He's got the double drink, and so he's super powerful now, and he wakes up and he's like, the doctor's like, "You were dead, but now you're alive," and he's like, "I'm strong." And then hard cut 16 years later, and it's Aaron Taylor Johnson.
No, he goes, he's in the hospital, and they're like, "Wow, I can't believe you're alive," kind of thing. And his dad shows up, and he's like, "All right, Kraven, we need to go on another road.
Oh, yeah.
You need to come with me." And the doctor's like, "Your son just died. Like, we need to keep him. I take Kraven now." And he, like, literally just steals his son from the hospital. And that's when they, like, go back to their estate, and they have, like, this big conversation, and it's like, they go back to the estate, and the dad's like,
I hate your son. I hate my other son.
I hate my other son. He is nothing to me. I got back at you. I killed the lion. I killed the cheetah. I killed the lion. And he shows the lion head on the thing, and Kraven's like, "No, fuck you, Dad. I'm leaving."
That lion was actually chill. We had a moment.
That lion, he mauled me, but like he let me go, and I mess with animals so much, and I can't believe you did this. And so he runs away. Yep. And his brother is like, "No, don't leave." And his brother also I hate him. He has like, his gimmick is that he's able to imitate people's voices, and when he does it in the movie, they have to. It's
really badly dubbed.
They can't lip sync it. They can't lip sync it, so he has to curl his head down and like hide his lips and like do the voice, and
but even then it's so easy to tell horrendous. It's not him.
It's so horrendous.
There is a ton of ADR in this movie. There was a moment where near the end of the film, Kraven is fighting a villain, and something happens, and Kraven says, like, he has like this Marvel quip where he's like, "Uh-oh, better go." But his mouth literally does not move whenever he turns around to say that. His mouth is sealed shut, and then it just goes, "Uh-oh, better go," and then he just turns back around and runs straight. They just added a Marvel quip in post. They didn't even give him CGI lips like Zack Snyder did. Come on now. Lock in.
And then
I guess back to the current.
Kraven, Kraven wants to leave after his dad kills the lion. He was chill. He had a moment with the lion, and so he goes back to, where was he? Like Russia or something?
He goes to his mother's sanctuary in Russia. And they
used to hang out and chill.
They've got like herds of what are those things called?
Hey, buffalo?
No.
It's
not a buffalo. It's not a bison. It's what are those called? They're like in the.
It's a bison, right?
Is it a bison?
It's the little buffalo bison.
Maybe.
It's like the little horn dude.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
I'm not a. Look, I ain't Kraven. I don't know all about the forest.
You ain't.
I ain't Kevin James. I do not know what animal that is. That's not my expertise.
He chills. Kraven chills in Russia, and he kills poachers and people on his.
Well, I wouldn't say
list,
chills because this dude is jacked now. But like.
That's the lion in him, bro.
That's
don't
true.
even
That's
trip.
True. I was gonna say that was the performance-enhancing drugs in him, but that's Aaron Taylor Johnson. Anyway.
So then we'll skip stuff.
Yeah, who cares? He fights random poachers.
He goes to find the lady that gave him the vial forever ago, and she's like a lawyer now. So he walks up to her and he's like, "Hey, you know people, right? You can find me these people that are on my list trademark." And she's like, "I don't know if I can help you."
We gotta talk about how he gets the list.
That's bad.
We gotta talk about how he gets the list. So
What?
he these people come onto his land and he kills most of them and 2 of them escape and then he gets their license plate and then he goes to their.
Well, I thought he just already had
their
list.
business area of expertise and he's killed like the boss, but the other guy doesn't know that, so he comes in, he's like, "Boss, there's this guy named Kraven and he's after us." And the Aaron Johnson turns around with a crossbow and he's like, "Oh yeah? I got this file with every bad guy's name on it." And he goes, "Oh. And then he's like, "Is this your name? Tell me your name." And he's like, John Doe." And he's like, "John Doe, here you are, right here." And then he shoots a crossbow in him. And
then he marks him out and closes his book.
that scene is so terrible because it's played off as like a gag. Like the theater was laughing
because when he leaves,
whenever he like shoots the guy with the crossbow
and shuts the door.
Yeah,
the boss is already skewered on the door. It hurts me.
Oh wait, we didn't even mention this. Whenever Kraven takes his super potion by Calypso, it has like stock footage of an eagle soaring around the screen. and that was my first like laugh of the movie that I had to keep in.
Random.
It was like random animal stock footage like that they just bought from National Geographic, and they just placed it in the movie with like a hazy filter on it. It's pretty funny. It's just the worst filmmaking ever. It's so lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then Kraven's got his list now after killing poachers. I remember something funny happening about the poacher killing too, but I don't remember now. He bites off that guy's ear and spits it at that other guy. And I remember thinking...
No, it was his fucking nose.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking...
He bit off his damn nose.
I was thinking, that's a little... What did that do, Kraven? Did that kill him? No.
Well, after he gets his nose bit off, he like is like laying in the car like he's dead. So I guess he just went through shock and died.
Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
But he meets the old lady, the chick who gave him his powers.
But she's like older now, old enough to be his love interest. She's not like a little girl anymore.
Yeah.
And she's a lawyer.
And she is a lawyer, and she has connections, trademark, and he's like, "Well, let's team up because apparently somebody who was like evil, killed one of her friends off screen, and that's how we are introduced to her." So she's like, "Yeah, I want to get back at those bastards who killed my friend."
Yep.
And so, that's how she gets in cahoots with Kraven. And then, since Kraven lived off the grid for like many, many years, he goes back to visit his brother every single birthday.
Yep.
And so he visits his brother back on his birthday, and before he even sees his brother, they have like some like bar thing, and they try to kill Kraven's dad because he's a mafia boss, and they just shoot it up.
Yep.
And Kraven's brother is like a pianist, and he's the chameleon, and he's able to imitate people's voices. And so basically what they can do in the movie shamelessly is just buy a song and rip it and just play it into the movie, and just have him like awkwardly sing over. It's the worst. I think it wasn't like horribly bad at the beginning, but at the end it's like
whenever his
bad,
brother becomes a more important character, it gets really bad.
Yeah, but the place gets shot up, and then I almost said Morbius, but Kraven's brother he hides under the piano, and when it's done, like Kraven's dad like kills all the people that were trying to kill him, and then he's like, Kraven brother, you are a pussy, and I hate you, and you should kill yourself, and you do not stand up for yourself, and you are a bitch, and he like pushes him, and it's like, dang dude, that's so rough. And then Kraven
and I was like, dude, I was kind of on Kraven's dad's side, but now I think he's the villain.
Maybe Kraven's dad was right. And so
yeah, Kraven's got his list or something. What does he do next? What does Kraven do?
Kraven comes back for his birthday.
Yeah.
And they like he joins him for a drink, and then after they have a birthday wish, he like, Kraven's brother lays in the bed, and he's all drunk, and he's like, you know what? I forgive you for everything you did, even if you left me with my dad that hates me and is a bitch. And Kraven is like, oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. And he goes and he tries to fall asleep on the couch, but like the machine whirs of
the air conditioner,
industrial living, it drives him insane. So he literally just like sleeps outside. And
he goes to a park, New York, famous for no sounds happening on the road, no cars honking, no people yelling, nothing. Nothing ever happens in New York past 9 p.m.
It was chill. Yeah, it was just chill.
So, yeah. And then a bunch of people kidnap Kraven's brother. And Kraven's like, those people are on my list, I gotta stop them. And then he can smell the cigarette brand, and that's how he tracks them. And then he leaps 8 stories off a building, and it looks really bad. It's very weird to see a guy with he's got like the Morbius jump, but he's not a superhero, really. I mean, I guess he is. He does have that serum, but
he got powers.
He's got powers, but can he survive 8 floor drops? I guess so.
He can survive it better than Ezekiel, bro.
He chases the car and catches up to it on barefoot. And then he fights the people in there, and he like breaks through the car, and it's fine. This is probably the best scene in the movie, by the way.
The car has bulletproof glass, and so he's like trying to punch through it. And then he like rips a door, and then because of New York traffic, he gets hit by a car. Like it literally just scathes Kraven off the car.
And then Kraven gets back up and runs again. And then they get in the helicopter, and Kraven lassos the helicopter with a rope.
With like a net.
Yeah, and then he holds on, and then he gets dragged through the water by the helicopter, which was funny. And then the helicopter leaves, and he's like, no, my brother, no. And so then he's like, lady, I've got a list. I've got a license plate. You need to find these people. And she's like,
can you find these people?
Okay, they're over
it's
here.
It's dangerous going for these people. They're gonna come for you and the people that you love.
Yeah.
That was probably said before.
Yeah.
But, before his brother got kidnapped. But then
so you meet the Rhino then.
Kraven's brother, and Kraven's brother does this I could tell he was going to be evil, obviously. Like, there were so many, like, moments where it's like, will he, won't he? OMG! Because, like, Rhino is like, you need to team up with me. And he's like, you could see it on his face where he's like, I'm really thinking about it. No, I can't do this to my family! And then, Rhino's like, oh, you're a pussy! And, yeah.
Well, this is when we get introduced to a new character, the Foreigner. And his special ability is he can count to 3. I didn't know who
the 3, 2, 1.
He can count to 3.
1, 2, 3.
And he can
he got King Crimson, bro. He just 1, 2, 3, and then he's behind you and he shoots you with
so that guy's like the big informant for Rhino, and he's like, tell that lawyer lady that we're over here at this church. And Kraven's like,
well, the way that the movie treats him makes me think that he was supposed to be the bigger villain than the Rhino, because the Rhino does fucking nothing. He literally just stands
have
in a
theory
building.
about that I'll mention later, because this is probably the one we have the least to say about. Big shocker.
Yeah, but he he just does the 1, 2, 3 thing, and then he TPs.
So yeah, he's like, go to this place. And then they send, like, some goons after the lawyer lady, and the lawyer's lady, like, Kraven, you gotta go here, that's where they are. And then Kraven goes there, and it's like, they took the bait. And so Kraven goes into this area to rescue his brother with 3 arrows, and that's it. To this heavily guarded compound.
No, he had blow darts.
That's right, blow darts. He
only had 3.
And then he makes his way through that.
So he was taking out people silently, and then he just like ruthlessly murdered a guy and went loud at like a payday.
Yeah.
Machine.
And so then he fights a bunch of people, and then some guy rocket launchers him, and then he falls off the side of a mountain. And then he's like, it was a setup.
Oh
my brother's
God.
Not here. What?
And there was a bunch of rubble that crashed on Kraven, and so one of the goons walks over, and he's like, I'm gonna need a video.
Yeah, he starts taking a TikTok.
Takes out his phone. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, what is this, the hunter you guys are talking about? And then Kraven is like, he's like, slash TP's behind you, nothing personal, kids, and just kills him and brutally kills him, and then
that's what he gets for filming a dead body.
True.
I think Logan Paul was on Kraven's list.
Did he not learn? Oh, I was about to say. Yeah, did not learn from the Suicide Forest situation.
Yeah, but then what else happens in the movie? And then he finds out, like, the real bad guy is the Rhino, so he's like, I'm gonna go fight the Rhino. Or no, the Rhino's like, oh, he fought all those guys at the thing, we're gonna have to go to him. And so he takes his brother with him for some reason. Why did the Rhino take his brother to Kraven? Pop quiz.
I
don't know why he took him there. I don't remember.
Because he needed to.
So anyway, Kraven fights like 400 guys in a forest, and then the mercenary, the foreigner, shows up.
1, 2, 3 guys shows up.
And
and the Rhino developed like a certain like thing
to kill Kraven,
to kill Kraven, because it's made by dingleberries that he found in the same Madagascar area that they were in when they were lying. I don't know. And so the 1, 2, 3 guy he
poisons
Kraven, shoots him. He poisons him multiple times because he does it in the arm, and then he does it somehow through his armor. And then, and what was funny is he got shot 3 times. I remember, because he threw 2 of them off, and there was one still on his chest, and there was a cut, and it just disappeared.
Yeah. Oh yeah, all the cuts were just gone. I remember that. Next shot.
Yeah, Kraven was like, he's like tweaking out, and he's like, I don't know, he's like he's off a freaking like 40 edibles or something, and he's trying to fight the 1, 2, 3 guy,
and he gets beat and killed.
He's failing. He gets beat and killed, but then the lawyer lady, she shows up, and she has a bow, and she freaking kills that dude like nothing.
She impales him through the eye.
And she has another Kraven vial and gives it to him.
Kraven wakes up, and he's like,
he wakes up.
What are you doing here? And then she's like, what? I can't have some secrets too? And then they just start fighting people.
Yep.
And then they fight the Rhino in the most epic place for a final battle during a bison stampede, which is very funny because it takes place on like 4 cars. So Kraven and Rhino are jumping from car to car, fighting each other while there's like 400 bison below them. Like, it's a very funny visual just because of how over the top it is.
Yeah.
But then they all fight, and then Kraven's getting washed because, the Rhino's indestructible. But then Kraven's like...
But it's one of those fights where it's like...
boring.
They do it's super boring, but it's also like Kraven can only do damage when it's like, they the people, the people making the movie want him to, where they're like, oh, we want Rhino to get sent into a truck so Kraven can do damage.
Yeah.
But if he tries it again,
doesn't he kicks him in the air
him,
at one point and the Rhino gets sent back, but then he tries to punch him and then nothing happens. It's very inconsistent.
It wasn't full force. It was super inconsistent. And so he's fighting him and he's getting choke slam or choked up in the air, but Kraven, he is smart and cunning like the lion in the jungle. And he picked up a pipe from a wrecked car that was driving, and
he stabs it.
Rhino's one weakness,
his Achilles heel,
is his feeding tube. Yep. Is his feeding tube. So he stabs him in the feeding tube, and then Rhino throws him against the wall again, and then he just dies.
Hey, presumed dead. He was going to show up in Sinister 6 probably. We never see his body. He gets impaled and then he's on the ground, and then the scene's over.
And then Kraven's brother does another thing where it's oh, is he evil? What's going on? He shows up with a gun.
He's
we need to kill the Rhino! We need to kill him now! And Kraven's no, you can't do it. You won't be
why would he
say better
that?
Than him. I don't know. Who freaking knows?
Because they don't set Kraven up to be a guy in the Venom movie where it's dude, yeah, he's Venom and he's evil, but he only kills bad guys. They don't do that. Mm-hmm. Kraven kills plenty of people throughout the movie.
Yeah, but not
even the most evil people ever. He kills plenty of just regular gangsters that were just conscripted into this, probably because of debts and stuff.
Yeah. But then after that, it's what? Do they actually have
they have a time skip, and then Kraven meets his dad again in the middle of the Arctic tundra, and then he lures a bear over there, and he gets rid of his bullets, so his dad gets mauled by a bear. Because his dad's evil.
I think Jackson spoiled it at the very beginning. Yeah. But at the very end, Kraven's dad's well, because I am not strong like Kraven the Hunter, I got your brother kidnapped so that you would save him and kill the Rhino. And then, Kraven's man, why would you do this? And he took, he just lures a bear over to kill his dad. And he takes all of his ammo so that he dies.
All of his ammo. He takes 2 shells. He's trying to load 2 shells.
That's all he has.
No, he's trying to load 2 shells in before he gets mauled. Yeah. I would have locked in. I would have loaded those 2 shells quick and shot that bear.
Well,
also, I think I read somewhere that bears have enough adrenaline that they can take a bunch of shotgun shells to the face without dying.
Yes,
even if if he would have got those 2 shots off, it still wouldn't have mattered. That bear would have lived long enough to kill him and then bleed out probably.
One of the greatest hunters ever, and bro could not even tell that there was a bear in his vicinity.
Yeah, within feet.
Yeah, but then Kraven goes to meet his brother, and his brother owns the bar that he used to own, and his dad. But then his brother's yeah, you aren't any better than our dad, Kraven. You are a bitch.
Which makes no sense.
It doesn't. It's so
you kill for evil. You kill for power, and it's the whole point is Kraven stays in the shadows and is a vigilante. He's not a mafia mob boss killing these people for power. He's a guy killing it for the greater good in his mind. Yeah. They're not the same at all.
He's killing the poachers, and he's killing people that he considers evil and a detriment to society. Yeah. It's he's kind of a good guy.
Yeah.
But at the end, they try to be you were just like him.
'Cause you killed a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they have some conversation where he's
Doesn't matter.
I'm strong now, and he's the chameleon, and I guess he has powers
Well,
somehow?
we have to talk about the transformation scene where he transforms into the chameleon in the middle of New York and no one blinks an eye. He becomes Mark Zuckerberg reptilian. And nobody cares. There's multiple people that walk past him and just nobody looks over at him or anything.
He gets Kraven's voice or face.
Oh, yeah.
And, whole complexion. But he's still 5'3", and he's trying to talk all this big game to his brother, who's jacked and could like tear him in half, but I guess he can shapeshift so he's strong. I don't
know about
but
yeah.
he's like, yeah, I'm strong now, and you know what? Our dad left you something at home, and so Kraven is like, oh, I guess I will go there. You know, I've had such a psychological analysis talk where, you know, I don't know who I am. You know, I've been shaken to my core. And he goes back home and he pulls out the fuck ass Kraven jacket and sits down in a chair and the movie ends. And there's like some like dialogue of his dad saying,
"You were always like me.
I am you."
Yeah.
And it's just no, you're not. I don't see it at all.
Yeah, so this movie was supposed to come out 2 years ago and was supposed to release in between Morbius and Madam Web. But, and this is just speculation, so take this with a grain of salt, but I believe the first trailer came out like a year ago now. And the Rhino was not shown in the movie very much at all, like in that trailer. Like, the only thing that was shown was, like, him taking out that thing to, like, make his arm gray. So I originally think that was the end credits scene. And that the movie would have been about him versus the 321 guy. The foreigner. And then they added the Rhino in, like, the post. Like, over the last year, they've done a ton of reshoots to add in the Rhino. And that's why Kraven and the Rhino only interact in the final battle.
Yeah.
So, that's my hypothesis.
I mean, if they made more movies like Kraven, I would not want them to make more.
Yeah, this one's definitely the weakest out of the bunch. It's not funny. Like, it works better as a movie, but it's, like, not... I mean, I don't know, does it, though? I think I'd rather watch, like, Morbius as a movie than I would this.
Well, Morbius, its strengths is that it's just like, oh, this is happening now, and Morbius is doing something cool. That doesn't happen.
Morbius also, like, 40 minutes shorter, so that also helps.
Yeah. Like, if they wanna make slop movies, make them entertaining slop movies. Nobody wants to go see Kraven, and he mulls about his frickin' past, and his brother, and he, you know, he's barely even real, and you know, it's like there's some scenes that are like, you know,
I wanted to see him grab that helicopter by the rope and swing it around like he King Kong. I wanted him to go crazy.
Exactly. Like, just make it crazy.
And there's moments of the movie where it does get like that. Like that car chase scene is like that, where it's just insane. Like him.
But it's at the end.
That's at the beginning.
Oh, the car chase?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of, like, them at the cars.
Oh, with the Rhino? I mean, it gets pretty crazy there, too. I'll give you that. Rhino. That is true.
But it's like... Yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Are we doing ratings?
Yeah, I guess we'll do ratings. I'm going to give Kraven the Hunter a 3 out of 10, and on the enjoyment scale, I'm probably going to give it a 5.
Yeah. I'm pretty much... I'm going to give it a 3 and probably enjoyment 4. Okay. I can't imagine myself watching
I'll probably watch it one more time just to see if I want to own it on 4K like I do Madam Web. Madam Web will be going on the shelf along with Sunshine.
Oh. I haven't... I don't know. I seriously can't imagine myself watching Kraven again. Like, even for
when it hits Netflix and it hits top 10 most watched in Netflix, like all these movies do, that's when I'll watch it. Mm-hmm. And I got some box office information I want to bring up here. Morbius.
Okay, go.
Domestic opening weekend, $39 million. Madam Web. Mm-hmm. Domestic opening weekend. Oh crap, where was it? $23 million.
How much was it, Jackson?
$23 million.
$23 million.
Kraven domestic opening weekend. $11 million. So it has been halved every time.
It's getting rough.
And yeah, that's why the universe is canceled. No more slop. Well,
It's kind
There
of
will
sad.
always be slop. There won't be Spider-Man Sinister Six slop anymore, though.
Yeah. I'm kind of sad because like, what would the next, Sony cinematic, universe with no Spider-Man be? Like, I wanted to see a big wheel movie. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That could have been the cherry on top. Like, if they just made that.
It's
movie.
all of them against the big wheel.
Or like Electro is like as a villain, like he's kind of like not that good of a character. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine him in a movie because like they don't have shit to run off of. They don't have to make him like super sympathetic and like. He has like
you know what it would
or
be? It would be he has a daughter and he has to
they
rob.
could just kill
He's a
people.
daughter and he has to compromise his research to get enough money to save his daughter, but it goes wrong, and then he has to rob banks because he can't get a job as a scientist so that he can make enough money to save his daughter, and then he has to fight. Sandman.
Yes. Yes.
And
I don't know, but like.
Yeah, he's an anti-hero. There you go.
Well, if they did that, it just would have been over. Like, I don't know. It's kind of sad that it's over,
I agree. I wanted more slop. Especially considering I haven't seen Venom the Last Dance. I probably never will. But I
haven't watched any of the Venom movies, and I think it's just because I think Venom is like cool and those movies are stupid.
That's fair.
So it just like
Venom 1,
it's
kind of funny. Venom 2, really boring. Venom 3, don't care enough.
How do you make a movie with Carnage in it boring? I feel like that's
because Carnage is barely in it, and it's mainly like a breakup movie. It's like they try to do like a thing where it's like Eddie and the symbiote, they don't care about each other anymore, and they're going to go their separate ways. Oh, but then they have to team up at the end to fight Carnage, and it's like really unfunny, and there's like Reddit humor the whole time. And it's really bad. Like Venom 1 has some funny moments. Like there's a bit where like he first kind of gets the symbiote and he doesn't know, so he goes on a date with this girl, and then he like jumps into the fishing tank at Red Lobster and starts eating a lobster raw. Like there's some like crazy stuff like that that's pretty funny. But
and you know what's you know what's crazy? What? I have Kraven like on a higher score in my mind than Deadpool and Wolverine.
It is. It's better. I'd rather watch it than I would Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. I think
lock me in a room and make me watch all these movies back to back than I would before I watched Deadpool and Wolverine once.
Yeah.
But yeah, are we ready to move on to outro? We talked about this crap for about 2.5 hours. This is as long as the Pat LeBur episode.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
So I'll give my 2 recommendations and you'll give your 1.
Okay.
Both of mine are going to be in theaters. I'm recommending Nosferatu by Robert Eggers. And I'm also recommending... I have to look up the director for this one real quick. Sorry. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 by Jeff Fowler. Those are my 2 recommendations for next episodes.
Yeah! And
so you recommend yours.
My recommendation is going to be Her by Spike Jones.
Okay.
I don't know if I said that right. It might be Hanze or
I think
something.
it's Jones. Yeah, Spike Jones.
But I haven't seen that movie.
And I have not seen this since high school, so it's been a bit.
Yeah, so I'd like to see it. That's actually kind of a crazy lineup. Nosferatu, Sonic 3, and Her.
Lots to talk about.
I think...
No 4 movies this week.
We're going to be all over the place.
No 4 movies this week, guys.
We're free. Yep. We're free!
So, I guess I also want to clarify something from last episode. I mentioned that I would probably have an episode up on my channel or a video about Silent Hill 2. That is now postponed indefinitely. Who knows when that will be out because of work stuff that has happened, like things that, pay bills work, not this. So that'll come out eventually. I'm not giving any date because who knows when it's coming out. But you got your Game Awards video. You can watch that VOD. It's pretty funny. Yeah. With that, I think that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.